Chapter 1090. Returning to the student residence, Mingzhu Prince suddenly asked Yu Yang if he was tired, as if he was still in high spirits. Unfortunately, Yu Yang just yawned. He indicated that unless he was accompanied by a beauty, he wouldn't go anywhere else. Mingzhu Prince was very angry. He walked back to the student residence angrily. He didn't even bid farewell to Yu Yang and went straight back to his room to rest, even slamming the door shut. The principal looked on with a smile. When Yu Yang was about to close the door, he asked with concern, "What happened? Did you quarrel? As a man, you should be more open-minded and give in to Mingzhu Prince more." Yes. Yu Yang would definitely act like an obedient student in front of the principal. Mingzhu Prince's temper is like an old friend of mine. He comes quickly and leaves even faster. He'll be fine tomorrow, don't worry. The principal comforted Yu Yang with kind words. Really? Yu Yang's ability to act dumb was definitely at the grandmaster level. Kids can't stay in the laboratory every day to study cold machines. Tomorrow, you guys can go out and play again. The principal felt that his proud disciple was good in all aspects. His brain was as smart as a devil, and his creativity was unparalleled. Furthermore, no matter if it was his personality or his appearance, the more one looked at him, the more they liked him. He was simply a perfect person. It was just that he was a little muddle-headed towards some things. It might be because he lacked knowledge in certain aspects, or it might be because he was too focused on studying and didn't think much about other things in life. What a silly boy! The principal waited for Yu Yang to say goodbye and returned to his room to rest. He sighed slightly. However, a smile immediately appeared on his face. It was as if something funny had touched his heart, causing even a serious person like him to be unable to endure it. The next day, it was just like what the principal said. Mingzhu Prince wasn't angry anymore. He came over early in the morning and knocked on Yu Yang's door, pulling Yu Yang, who had not woken up in time, out of his bed. "Accompany me to go shopping," Mingzhu Prince directly announced today's mission. Boring. Yu Yang really wanted to lie down and sleep for a while, but when he saw the golden hammer in Mingzhu Prince's hands, he finally couldn't help but raise his hands in surrender. He expressed that he would definitely not disappoint the party and the motherland's trust. He would definitely carry out the mission of accompanying Mingzhu Prince to go shopping. If there were difficulties, he would face them. If there were no difficulties, he would create difficulties for himself. That's more like it. Mingzhu Prince was very happy. He almost took out some candies to reward Yu Yang. Yu Yang and young Master Mingzhu ate breakfast in the students' dormitory. After bidding farewell to the teachers who were looking at him with smiles on their faces, before the sun rose from the east, he had already stepped out of the student residence, welcoming the morning glow. It was unknown whether it was fate or coincidence, but Yu Yang and young Master Mingzhu actually met the three white-clothed girls who were respectfully addressed as God's envoys on the Lin Meng Trail not far from the entrance of the student residence. The three white-clothed girls looked very similar, as if they were twins, but they were also completely the same. They all had a detailed smile on their faces. Whenever they saw them, they would always maintain an elegant demeanor, and would never lose their composure. The white-clothed girl standing on the right had a small round face. She looked cute and innocent. When Yu Yang first entered the human valley, he almost couldn't help but stretch out his wolf claws to pinch her face. Fortunately, he didn't take any liberties at that time. Otherwise, Yu Yang definitely wouldn't be able to stand so calmly on this ancient pavilion of Tian Ping Mountain. The crime of taking liberties with the god's messenger was probably a light punishment even if he was imprisoned for 1,000 or a few hundred years. Among the three white-clothed girls, the one in the middle was the most gentle, and her appearance was also more delicate. The scent of books was the strongest. She looked like a female sage. In her hands, she held a silver grimoire that wasn't a summoning grimoire. It was specially responsible for recording the wanderers who entered the valley. The white-clothed girl on the furthest left was the tallest. Other than being noble and elegant, her small face also had a hint of heroic spirit. Yu Yang remembered that when he first entered the valley, she was the one who gave him the noble badge. Mingzhu greets the three gods' messengers. Mingzhu Prince hurriedly greeted them, and secretly tugged on Yu Yang's sleeves, hinting him not to be too rude. "Good morning, the two of you don't have to be so polite." The white-clothed girl in the middle returned the greeting. Her voice was as melodious as the sounds of nature. "Star Diamond Castle's owner, Baron Titan, we meet again." The round-faced girl seemed to have the deepest impression of Yu Yang. When she returned the greeting, she specially pointed out the name and noble title that Yu Yang used. When she said that, Mingzhu Prince had a feeling that this round-faced god's messenger seemed to know everything about Yu Yang like the back of her hand. Furthermore, her big bright eyes revealed a kind of curiosity that she didn't have when she looked at other people. "Is there something you need from me?" Yu Yang believed in the saying, "One doesn't visit a temple without a cause." "Don't be so rude to the god's messengers." Mingzhu Prince hurriedly nudged Yu Yang with his elbow, hinting him not to speak so directly. It sounded very rude. "It's fine." The white-clothed girl in the middle who was holding a silver grimoire was obviously the leader of the three girls. She waved her hand lightly. Her fingers were like jade, and her movements were as elegant as the spring breeze. After she finished speaking, she nodded slightly and said with certainty, "We have indeed come here to entrust the two of you with something. Please instruct us, God's messenger." Mingzhu Prince was overjoyed. These three white-clothed girls were God's messengers. This was something that everyone knew. However, even the Heaven's Pride Guild Master or the Thousand-Year Great Sage, who were experienced seniors, rarely had the chance to talk to them. If a student in the valley was lucky enough to receive their words, his status would immediately increase by 100 times. Even if the three white-clothed girls looked him in the eye, it would be a great honor. They were the eyes of the gods in the world. Their actions represented the will of the gods. In other words, their appreciation was equivalent to the gods' appreciation. How could people not be excited? The three white-clothed girls rarely appeared in the world. Even when they came to the evaluation ceremony, they would only watch from afar without saying a word. It was really too difficult to obtain their attention. Gaining attention was an opportunity that every wanderer or elite would yearn for. Now, the three gods' messenger actually entrusted him with something. How could Mingzhu Prince not be wild with joy? "We have something that we lost at the bottom of the Eastern Summit. We would like to ask you to retrieve it for us. If you can complete it before the evaluation ceremony, then we will give you a big reward. If you can't complete it after 10 days or half a month, then we can only give up looking for it." The tallest white-clothed girl with a heroic look on her face did not stand on ceremony. She directly asked Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince for a mission that looked easy. "May I know what you are looking for?" Mingzhu Prince suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked. "It is an ancient artifact." The round-faced white-clothed girl's big bright eyes looked at Yu Yang's face. She suddenly smiled and shook her head. "We also don't know the shape of the ancient artifact. We only know that it is at the bottom of the sea. You can choose for yourselves. Search for it at the bottom of the sea. Maybe it's a stone, maybe it's a seaweed, maybe it's something else. Whatever you think is suitable, bring it back for us." "It's fine even if it's wrong?" Yu Yang resisted the urge to pinch the round-faced girl's cheeks. "If it's wrong, then the mission will fail." The round-faced girl waved her hands. "You have to think carefully, don't rush to complete the mission. What's the use of the ancient artifact?" Yu Yang hoped to obtain more information. "You can't tell me the shape, but you can at least tell me its use, right? If you don't say anything, how are you going to find it? There is more than one ancient artifact." The white-clothed girl in the middle who was holding the silver grimoire gave a hint. Hint number 2, they are the key to opening some kind of ancient switch when they are all gathered. Hint number 3, the ancient artifact has a mysterious power. It might be able to guide you in a certain direction. However, we don't know how strong or weak this mysterious power is, but it definitely exists. Baron Titan and Mingzhu Prince, that's all we have. We hope that it will be of help to you in your search, and we wish you success. If we complete the mission in one day, will we double the reward? Yu Yang never minded rewards. The more the merrier. If it's really like that, then we need your help again. The round-faced girl seemed to believe that Yu Yang could really complete the mission in advance. Let's talk about it after we complete it. The tallest white-clothed girl on the furthest left was more pragmatic. She took out a small purplish-blue scroll. She passed it to Yu Yang. Yu Yang still didn't know what it was. Mingzhu Prince hurriedly thanked her and received it. Other than the Sky Plateau's main peak's ancient pavilion, the other 4 peaks could only be entered by the challenge rules. Normally, no one could enter as they wished. If one wanted to enter the eastern peak to search for items, one must be approved by the challenge rules. This purplish-blue scroll was different from the Scarlet War scroll of the challenge rules, but it was believed that it was necessary to complete the mission. The 3 white-clothed girls left after entrusting the mission to Yu Yang. Yu Yang couldn't understand anything no matter how he looked at it. He hurriedly opened the purplish-blue scroll and unfolded it. Purple and blue light shot out from the scroll. In an instant it enveloped the 2 of them. Mingzhu Prince was both angry and anxious. He grumbled, "You idiot, why are you in such a hurry?" Yu Yang sweated. "How would I know it would be like this? I still need to study it properly in the future." Before he could finish his sentence, the 2 of them had already teleported into the eastern peak. The eastern peak was hilly, the forest was lush and green. Countless unknown little beasts were frightened by the sudden arrival of the 2 of them. They scattered in all directions and flew into the green bushes. Maybe it was because they hadn't seen people for a long time. They were stunned for a while before curiously peeking at Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince. In front of them was a field of green, and their noses were filled with fragrance. Although the eastern peak was located 10,000 meters above the ground, for some reason it was like a garden on the ground. Hundreds of flowers bloomed and butterflies danced. It was completely different from the other 4 peaks. Even compared to the Sky Plateau's main peak's ancient pavilion, it was more wild and green. This place was closer to the forest. There was no trace of humans at all. If it was the southern peak where there was a lake to search for ancient relics, it would still be acceptable. However, in the eastern peak, other than a small stream, there was not even a drop of water, so where did the sea come from? Seeing the contrast in front of them, Mingzhu Prince and Yu Yang looked at each other. It seems this seemingly simple mission was really difficult. At least, before they found the sea, there was no need to think about ancient relics. Chapter 1091. Someone was here. Mingzhu Prince furrowed his brows and looked suspicious. You mean, someone else received the same mission? Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. Since he and Mingzhu could receive the mission, someone else must have received it as well. This kind of mission should be a competitive type. It had existed since ancient times. It was a challenge that all outstanding wanderers had the right to attempt. It was similar to the beast training in the Beast Valley, and not the 3 girls in white who were looking for something. I sensed some information left behind on the ground after a strong willpower search. This person's willpower was very strong, close to that of a god. It should be Ji Wuri. Mingzhu Prince nodded and gave Yu Yang a definite answer. Ji Wuri was here? Yu Yang only realized now that his senses were not as strong as Mingzhu Prince's. If he completely unleashed his hidden strength, unreservedly unleashed the power of Heaven Eye's divine vision, and combined his supreme will with the power of the minor code to search the entire eastern summit, Yu Yang reckoned that he would not be any worse than Mingzhu. He might even be better than her. However, Yu Yang was really not as good as Mingzhu in his usual state. Mingzhu Prince's senses were usually above Yu Yang's. Other than Princess Sisai, who had the 6 records inherent skill, no one else could compare to him. Sensing the information that Ji Wuri had been here, Mingzhu Prince's expression became slightly nervous. He prepared himself as if he was facing a formidable enemy, as if Ji Wuri would jump out and attack them at any time. Yu Yang, on the other hand, was calm. If Ji Wuri was still here, it would be too late to leave. They could only fight face to face. Moreover, this was the Human Valley's Tianping Peak's ancient pavilion. No matter how powerful Ji Wuri was, he would not be able to use it. If it was just a battle between battle dolls, Yu Yang could pat his chest and say, "Come on, who's afraid of who?" The most important point was, Yu Yang believed that no matter how slow his senses were, Ji Wuri wouldn't be able to get so close to him without him noticing. Ji Wuri used his psyche power to search for traces of energy left behind the East Peak, but it was too faint. Yu Yang usually did not pay attention to it, so he could not sense it. However, if Ji Wuri was lurking somewhere and waiting, Yu Yang's sense of danger on the battlefield was no less than Princess Sisai's 6 records talent, and he would immediately sense it. Therefore, Ji Wuri was definitely not at the East Peak now. Since he was not here, what did Yu Yang have to fear? Other than Ji Wuri's telekinesis, there's also the telekinesis of an unfamiliar powerhouse. Mingzhu Prince was a little uncertain. Who else could be as powerful as Ji Wuri? I know who it is. Yu Yang didn't even need to think to know who it was. Kai Tian Demon Venerable. If it wasn't for the grimoire, divine sense, and guardian beast that were still sealed in the demonic palace in the Demon Valley, Kai Tian Demon Venerable would definitely be much stronger than Ji Wuri, the lord of the temple who was said to be the closest to the god realm. When Kai Tian Demon Venerable was rampaging in the heaven realm, Ji Wuri was not even born yet. Of course, Kai Tian Demon Venerable was only half out of the seal now, and his strength was greatly reduced. He couldn't even take down Yu Yang, so he was naturally inferior to Ji Wuri at his peak. Just the fact that he could escape from the ancient seal alone showed how powerful Kai Tian Demon Venerable was. Compared to the heaven-opening Demon Elder, the super experts who were also sealed, whether it was the Demon Dragon who had a bounty of 300 billion in the heaven realm, the peerless Emperor Wu Shuang, or the Conquest Queen Fei Wenli, none of them could do this alone. Although everyone's seal was different, Queen Vivian Li's and Mo Long's seals were more despairing. However, Emperor Wu Shuang and Kai Tian Demon Venerable's seals weren't too far off. Among the 4 super experts, only Kai Tian Demon Venerable managed to escape alone, and he was extremely courageous. He would rather give up his divine sense and grimoire in order to obtain freedom. Just this point alone proved how powerful the heaven-splitting Demon Venerable was. He could fight to a draw with Yu Yang in the Demon Valley without his grimoire, divine sense, and guardian beast. If it was someone else, including Ji Wuri, they would definitely not be able to do it. If he didn't have the help of his grimoire, divine sense, and guardian beast, Ji Wuri would definitely be killed on the spot if he really dared to fight with Yu Yang. If he lost, he wouldn't even be able to wear his pants. Kai Tian Demon Venerable was only unable to win against fate, not the current Yu Yang, or Ji Wuri who temporarily suppressed him. After hearing Yu Yang's words, Mingzhu Prince nodded his head lightly. He seemed to have heard about the story of Kai Tian Demon Venerable before, so he had a rough idea of it. Although Kai Tian Demon Venerable had lost a lot of his strength and had become a toothless tiger, he was definitely not someone to be trifled with. He valued Yu Yang very much. Mingzhu Prince agreed very much in his heart. If both Ji Wuri and Kai Tian Demon Venerable have been here, then we don't have to search anymore. Yu Yang didn't think that they could find any ancient relics by following behind these 2 fellows. If Ji Wuri and Kai Tian Demon Venerable couldn't find it, then he and Mingzhu didn't need to waste their energy. They definitely wouldn't be able to find it. If they had already found it, would they still need to waste their time here? But Mingzhu Prince felt that it was a pity to leave just like that. Let me think about it. Yu Yang carefully recalled the words of the 3 ladies in white. If they had already found it, they definitely wouldn't ask him to continue searching. They definitely couldn't find it. On the other hand, if the East Peak really had it, there was no reason why Ji Wuri and Kai Tian Demon Venerable couldn't find it. Have you thought of it? Could the sea that they were talking about be the Sea of Trees? This is a huge forest, you can call it a sea of trees. Mingzhu Prince analyzed. No. Yu Yang shook his head. It definitely couldn't be that simple. If it was really that simple, would Ji Wuri and Kai Tian Demon Venerable return empty-handed? Yu Yang seriously racked his brain, thinking hard for a while. His mind was immersed in it, trying to find an answer. After thinking for an hour, nothing. Mingzhu Prince quickly comforted him. Don't worry, we will definitely find the ancient relics. We still have time, we don't need to be anxious. Furthermore, this is the East Peak where no one goes. Unless someone challenges and chooses the East Peak as the battlefield, no one will come here to disturb us. Think about it slowly, there's no need to be anxious, I will help too. Let's work hard together. Even if someone comes here to duel, the teleportation gate will flash first. We will have enough time to hide, and no one will disturb our treasure hunt. Yu Yang didn't care about comforting him. He accepted Mingzhu Prince's kind intentions. It wasn't easy to get this Mingzhu Prince, who would fly into a rage and smash people with his golden hammer, to comfort someone. Just as he was about to speak, an idea flashed in his mind. Yu Yang grabbed Mingzhu Prince's shoulder tightly and shouted, "What did you say? You said teleportation gate just now?" Mingzhu Prince was shocked by Yu Yang's action. I said that if someone comes, the teleportation gate will also have a sign and flash. Yes, that's it. Yu Yang hugged Mingzhu Prince excitedly. He hugged him tightly and wouldn't let go no matter what. Mingzhu Prince almost fainted. What's going on? What does this have to do with the teleportation gate? Even if it does, you can't hug him so tightly and not let go. Yu Yang not only hugged him, he also patted Mingzhu Prince's back and laughed loudly. When Mingzhu Prince was about to use his golden hammer to help him clear his head, he suddenly let go and ran towards the teleportation gate. When Mingzhu Prince reached the teleportation gate, Yu Yang had already taken out a piece of Godstone from the base of the teleportation gate. Are you trying to say that this is an ancient artifact? Mingzhu Prince seemed to understand. Godstone. This kind of endless energy must have existed since the formation of the human valley. It might even be created by the ancient deities. At the very least, it must have been placed in this teleportation gate by the ancient deities to become an energy stone to assist in teleportation. How can it not be an ancient artifact? Yu Yang argued. But there are many god stones in the human valley. This is not the only one. Not to mention the eastern summit, there are also god stones in the southern summit, western summit and northern summit. Mingzhu Prince still couldn't understand. Collect them all. Yu Yang specially kept this piece of god stone into an empty storage ring. Don't pull me. Mingzhu Prince's hand was pulled by Yu Yang. He seemed to be very uncomfortable to be dragged by Yu Yang. However, after struggling a few times, he still couldn't break free from Yu Yang's big hand. He could only roll his eyes helplessly and let him be dragged as he quickened his pace to catch up. What Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince didn't know was that 10 minutes after the two of them left, Palace Master Zhonghua, who was the 10th son of the city master of Silver Maple City in the Human Valley, as well as Ren Tiange, the great sage Silver Pupil, the Spirit King's Shadow, the Skinner King Sanguiner, the Skeleton King Golden Remains and other super strong rankers, were also teleported to the eastern summit. Obviously, they had also received a commission to search for the ancient artifact. While they were vigilant of their opponents and entered the forest to search, a few more students came, including Haug, Qing Mo, and a few elite students of the Human Valley, such as young City Master Kinch, who claimed to have created the strong magnetic war avatar. After Haug came in, he laughed loudly. How shameless! The 3 oracles entrusted my brother to search for the ancient artifact, and you guys actually followed us. How shameless! The elite student of Yenyang City, Yang Ping, changed his expression. He snorted heavily but didn't refute. Instead, the arrogant Kinch sneered and said sarcastically, "Lowly people, why can a few shabby mercenaries like you take over, but us elite nobles can't? We took the initiative to accept the mission, and the three oracles agreed, didn't they? It proves that we, the nobles, are more capable and can complete such a heavy task. With us here, you trash mercenaries can go back. You can never find the ancient artifact, never." The masked Qing Mo seemed to have sensed something. He really turned around and left without staying for a second. "Hey, only you are qualified to accept the mission. Isn't it too wasteful to leave like this?" Haug sweated, but he was used to Qing Mo's character. Since Yu Yang wasn't here, he would listen to Qing Mo. Listening to a smart person was definitely the right thing to do. "Useless mercenaries." Kinch spat on the ground. "They must be afraid that we will attack together." Yang Ping analyzed. Yes, we can attack here at the East Peak." Kinch's face was full of regret. Why didn't he use the war avatar to kill the two poor mercenaries? At this time, Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince were already at the North Peak. In 10 minutes, the two had already walked from the East Peak to the South Peak to the West Peak to the North Peak. In order to collect the God Stone in these 4 places, Yu Yang paid the challenge honor of losing 3 times in a row. This was because without the scroll, he had to issue a challenge every time he entered a region. He had to arrange a battle with his opponent in a certain region before he could enter. The reputation of a loser who had lost 3 times in a row naturally couldn't be carried by young Master Mingzhu. Yu Yang displayed the great revolutionary style of a real man, advancing bravely without fear of sacrifice and overcoming all difficulties. He automatically took on the challenge of losing 3 times in a row. When Mingzhu Prince comforted him, Yu Yang generously expressed that it was nothing. What did beggar Su do in the past? Die for a girl, go to the capital to take the imperial examination, and enter the capital without knowing how to write his name. What fearless courage did he have? What lofty ambitions did he have? There was also a great man of a generation who once wrote, "If you haven't succeeded in picking up a girl, you still need to work hard." This kind of revolutionary saying. When Yu Yang was still studying, he had stuck this saying on his bed as his motto. He had always encouraged himself to unwaveringly follow the revolutionary ideals and route of his predecessors to advance forward. After hearing Yu Yang's twisted words, Mingzhu Prince was so angry that his face turned red. Picking up the golden hammer, he almost broke Yu Yang's limbs like beggar Su. Fortunately, Yu Yang shouted, "Don't force me to practice the sleeping Arhat fist, or else I will meet you in my dreams every night." Mingzhu Prince was so scared that his hands trembled. He only stopped when the hammer fell to the ground. The laughter ended. After the 4 pieces of God's stone gathered together, Yu Yang didn't rush to bring them back to the 3 girls in white. Instead, he used the runes carved on the God's stone to draw a huge runic circle, linking the 4 pieces together perfectly. 4 rays of energy flowed out from the God's stone and gathered at the center of the runic circle. They intertwined to form a light pillar and shot up to the sky. Yu Yang rushed towards the pillar of light. Seeing that Yu Yang did not bring him along, Mingzhu Gongzi became anxious. She hurriedly rushed forward and held Yu Yang's hand tightly. "Don't think of leaving me alone." The light pillar instantly teleported the 2 of them away. When the 2 of them regained their senses, they realized that the 2 of them were already on a small island surrounded by a vast ocean. Chapter 1092. It seemed like the East Summit was just a hidden hint. The real target was the God's Stone at the East Summit's teleportation gate. The real place to obtain the ancient artifact was this unknown ocean. Mingzhu Prince cheered. Stepping on the soft silvery sand beneath his feet, listening to the waves beating against the shore, then raising his head to look at the clear blue sky, young Master Mingzhu's state of mind expanded infinitely, a sense of success overflowing. He felt that he had to shout loudly, otherwise he would not be able to suppress the happiness in his heart. Although he hadn't found the ancient artifact, he was already here. Was there a need to be lost and worried? Most importantly, he had succeeded this time. He had not only found the right way to find the ancient artifact, he had also secretly defeated rankers like Ji Wuri and Kai Tian Demon Deity. They couldn't find the ancient artifact. He and Yu Yang were able to find it even if they worked together. What did this mean? If he and Yu Yang worked together, they would be much stronger than them. Because of his excitement, Mingzhu Prince couldn't help but give Yu Yang a big hug. Only after the hug did he realize that he had lost his composure. He hurriedly pushed Yu Yang away and coughed. "The treasure hunt has only just begun, we can't be too happy yet." "All right, under Mingzhu Prince's correct guidance, I, as a laborer, will stick to the revolutionary path for 100 years. Yu Yang expressed his determination. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Young Master Mingzhu seemed to be angry and snorted. However, he didn't use his golden hammer. This meant that he was in a good mood and didn't want to argue with Yu Yang, who was spouting nonsense. Just as Yu Yang was about to take off his clothes and dive into the ocean to search for the ancient artifact, suddenly, a strange giant wave rose from the ocean. It formed a wave that was in the shape of a city wall. After reaching tens of meters, countless waterfalls flowed down from the top, leaving behind a strange mass of water. Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince were dumbfounded. When the seawater splashed, the strange water balls kept changing, and in the end, they turned into tidal giants with the upper body of humans and the lower body of wave. What was strange was that these tide giants, which had gathered into shape and dispersed into water, were all war puppets. Each of them was 100 meters tall. It slowly drifted to the shore from the sea and approached the small island where Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince were staying. Compared to the tidal puppet war dolls, the small island seemed a little small. Yu Yang and young Master Mingzhu held each other's hands at the same time and retreated with large strides towards the center of the small island. Although they were unable to escape the attack range of the tidal puppet war dolls, they subconsciously felt that it would be safer to do so. Mingzhu Prince counted carefully, and found that there were more than 100 tidal puppets. They were so huge that they could surround the entire island. It didn't matter which direction they retreated. It was impossible for them to break free from the siege of these tidal puppet dolls. What should we do? Mingzhu Prince was a little flustered. If there was only one tidal puppet war dolls, they could just use the golden puppet war dolls to fight it. However, there were more than 100 of them here. How could they fight? Furthermore, these tidal puppet war dolls wouldn't die at all. Even if they were scattered, they could reform in the seawater. These ancient tidal puppet war dolls were created by an unknown person, and they were basically one with the sea. As long as the sea didn't dry up, they wouldn't die. Not to mention using the tidal puppet war dolls, even if Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince were to attack them personally, they wouldn't be able to completely destroy them. Wait, there must be a way. It's impossible that there isn't a way to break them. Give me a few seconds, let me think about it. Yu Yang comforted him. You asked them if they would give you time. Think about it. Mingzhu Prince gulped nervously. A few of the tidal puppet war dolls that were closest to Yu Yang on the shore had already started waving their fists and attacking. Some of them spat out a waterfall towards Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince, some of them unleashed an icy rain, some of them directly waved their giant white fists made of sea salt, smashing them down with an unstoppable force. No matter what kind of attack it was, it wouldn't feel good to be hit by it. Furthermore, one thing was certain. If they were hit by a single tidal puppet war dolls, then Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince would immediately fall into a passive position. This would allow more tidal puppet war dolls to succeed in attacking them from all sides. At that time, the endless attacks would definitely form an unbreakable predicament. Among the many attributes, what is the one that can restrain water? Yu Yang pulled Mingzhu Prince along as he retreated, dodging the first few attacks. However, he could only dodge for a moment. He couldn't dodge the continuous attacks from the tidal puppet war dolls. While they were dodging the attacks, Yu Yang suddenly asked this question. Mingzhu Prince was stunned when he heard it. He immediately shouted, "Idiot, of course it's fire! It's fire! Fire and water restrain each other. Fire and water restrain each other. That's right." However, Yu Yang's face turned bitter when he heard it. Then how much fire do we need to restrain 100 tidal puppet war dolls? A volcano should be about the same. Mingzhu Prince couldn't do anything about it. In the ocean, the tidal puppet war dolls were an invincible existence. Even if a normal puppet could spit fire, what use would it have? The tidal puppet war dolls were made entirely of water. Not to mention the fact that they couldn't all be incinerated into steam. Even if they could instantly replenish themselves in the ocean. As long as the rules left behind by the ancient times didn't change, it was impossible to destroy them. Then what should we do? If we can't use fire, why don't we try using wind to blow them all into the sky? In a moment of desperation, Mingzhu Prince really couldn't think of any other way. And then, Yu Yang temporarily didn't want to think about how the 100-meter-tall tidal puppet war dolls could be blown into the sky by wind. Then you dive into the ocean and fish up the ancient artifact. This was Mingzhu Prince's plan. What if the tidal puppet war dolls fall back into the ocean? Yu Yang asked again. Don't you know how to escape? Mingzhu Prince felt that this person was an idiot. In the ocean, can I outrun the tidal puppet war dolls? This was the first time in Yu Yang's life that he doubted his own abilities. Mingzhu Prince didn't say anything. He probably also felt that this was an impossible task. If he dived into the ocean to fish up the ancient artifact, he might not be able to find the ancient artifact. Instead, he might be drowned by the tidal puppet war dolls and become a snack for the fishes and prawns. All right, I can only try it as a last resort now. As Yu Yang retreated, he used his feet to create a sand pit. His hands quickly cooperated as he placed a sufficient amount of magic crystal materials into the sand pit. He also placed a god's stone fragment into every sand pit. When he came back, he drew an extremely complicated runic circle. All of this was done while he was escaping with Mingzhu Prince. At every moment, there were more than 20 tidal puppet war dolls attacking them. No matter which side of the island they escaped to, they were unable to escape from their encirclement. The island was really too small. Its length and width were not even 100 meters, and its highest point was not even 30 meters. The tidal puppet war dolls, attacking Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince, were like a group of adults bullying two pitiful little ants. Although this kind of attack couldn't hurt Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince, it was still quite depressing to be attacked without being able to retaliate. Furthermore, they were completely drenched from head to toe. Rumble. Following the completion of Yu Yang's runic circle, a new puppet was planted in the sand. However, it wasn't like the first completed obsidian puppet. Instead, it was a completely new type of sand puppet. One after another, the sand puppets drilled out of the ground. According to Yu Yang's will, they directly punched the tidal puppet war dolls. The sand puppets with a looser body were obviously not a match for the tidal puppet war dolls. Even if they were to be completed in the fastest speed, they still wouldn't be able to compare to the tidal puppet war dolls that were meticulously created by an ancient rancor. These two types of puppets weren't on the same level at all. The tidal puppet war dolls were at least platinum ranked. As for the sand puppets, because they were mass-produced in a hurry, they were all silver ranked. There was even a gold ranked in between them. From this, one could see the difference between the two. Very quickly, the sand puppets were destroyed, scattered and drowned by the tidal puppet war dolls. Countless grains of sand continuously fell from the bodies of the sand puppet. Under the opponent's powerful attacks, the sand puppets couldn't even withstand a single blow. Even if Yu Yang had created a large number of them, The attacks of the tidal puppet war dolls were like tigers that had entered a flock of sheep. The attacks of the tidal puppet war dolls were like tigers that had entered a flock of sheep. Wherever they swung their fists, nothing was left unscathed. However, just like the tidal puppet war dolls, the sand puppets also had the ability to condense and regenerate. The only difference was that one was made of seawater, while the other was made of sand. After the sand puppets were scattered, they fell on the beach of the small island. After a while, they stood up shakily. Many of them were destroyed once again before they could completely condense. However, no matter how they attacked the tidal puppet war dolls, they were unable to destroy these seemingly weak sand puppets. The sand puppets were like cockroaches that wouldn't die. After being knocked down once, they could stand up again. No matter how many times they were knocked down, they wouldn't be affected in the slightest. If the tidal puppet war dolls had intelligence, they would definitely ignore these puppets that weren't a threat to them. It was a pity that the tidal puppet war dolls were only platinum ranked and not saint ranked. Without any intelligence, they only knew how to attack the nearest target. They would always surround the group of sand puppets in front of them and attack them continuously. They didn't seem to care if their attacks were effective or not. As for Mingzhu Prince and Yu Yang, who were hiding in the middle of the small island, they were completely ignored. Among the tidal puppet war dolls, these two humans weren't their first target. Instead, it was the group of sand puppets in front of them. What made Mingzhu Prince even more surprised was that these tidal puppet war dolls, who were made of seawater, would inevitably be contaminated with sand as they continuously attacked the sand puppets. From small to large, the sand accumulated more and more. Finally, a few of the tidal puppet war dolls' arms and bodies were filled with sand, becoming a combination of sand and seawater. After their bodies were filled with sand, it didn't affect any of their functions. These tidal puppet war dolls were still the same, but their movements had become much slower. It was as if they were drunk men dancing. More and more tidal puppets became like this. Their movements became slower and slower. At this moment, they were no longer a threat to Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince. Earth, among the 5 elements, earth can also counter water. Mingzhu Prince looked at Yu Yang in surprise. How did you think of this? I was born this smart, I can't help it. Yu Yang had never been humble. I can't take it anymore. Mingzhu Prince made a vomiting expression to express his disdain. Please don't worship me too much. I know that you worship me very much in your heart. It's just that your rebellious heart doesn't allow you to praise me. Yu Yang had a smug look on his face that said, I understand you. I've never seen such a person in my life. Mingzhu Prince was about to go crazy. That's right, I can guarantee that you've never seen such a handsome fellow like me in your life. It's normal for you to be jealous of me. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, the golden hammer had already been raised. Yu Yang hurriedly ran away. This golden hammer was definitely more powerful than 100 tidal puppets added together. He couldn't afford to offend it. When Yu Yang sneakily jumped into the sea from a gap in the battlefield, the golden hammer in Mingzhu Prince's hand had already disappeared. Instead, his face was replaced with a faintly worried expression. Laughing and fooling around were two different things. When it came to serious matters, Mingzhu Prince would definitely support Yu Yang 100%. Now that he saw him diving into the sea to search for the ancient artifact, it would be a lie if Mingzhu Prince said that he wasn't worried. In fact, he was already very worried before this. Perhaps it was because of this that Yu Yang purposely teased him to divert Mingzhu Prince's attention, making Mingzhu Prince angry and reduce his worries. 10 minutes passed, 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed. Even after half a day had passed, Yu Yang still hadn't surfaced. Mingzhu Prince was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He had wanted to follow Yu Yang's trail into the sea many times. However, he bit his lower lip lightly, using the pain to regain his calmness, and rationally gave up. Waiting for him was the best way. If he followed him down, there was a high chance that he wouldn't be able to find him. Even if he found him, he might become a burden to him. The most unwise thing was that if he went down into the sea, he wouldn't be able to see him when he came back, and would instead be even more worried. A day passed, until midnight, when the sky was filled with stars. Only then did Yu Yang let out a walla sound. He came out of the sea. When Mingzhu Prince saw him, he was overjoyed. He rushed forward recklessly on the beach where the tidal puppets and the sand puppets were still fighting. Before Yu Yang could react, he pushed him down onto the beach and hugged this hateful man who had been worried about him for a day and a night, who had wanted to beat him up the moment he saw him, but who knew that he would forget everything when he finally came back. Are you crying? A certain person who came back from the sea wondered if his eyes were playing tricks on him. Idiot, the sand got into my eyes. A certain person who had waited for a day and a night and worried for a day and a night refused to admit it. If the sand really got into your eyes, then let me blow it for you. Blow your head. Chapter 1093. He returned to Tianping Mountain, the ancient pavilion. Yu Yang, who had completed the ancient artifact search quest, did not excitedly pull Mingzhu Prince to hand in the quest. Instead, he returned to the student residence as if nothing had happened, as if he had never heard of the ancient artifact search. Mingzhu Prince did not expect Yu Yang to have such an attitude. He could not help but sweat profusely in his heart. He felt that no one in the world was greedier than this brat. Have a good rest. When you wake up, you will realize that tomorrow will be better. Yu Yang whistled and returned to his room. Looks like the two of you had a good time. The principal appeared out of nowhere. No, I even had a big fight with him just now. Mingzhu Prince hurriedly denied when he heard this. Ha ha, quarreling is life. Otherwise, it would be too boring. The principal laughed happily. In the end, he muttered to himself and disappeared around the corner of the corridor. Mingzhu Prince had no words to refute. Looking at Yu Yang's tightly shut door, he stomped his feet in annoyance, turned around and left. After young Master Mingzhu left, Yu Yang's room's door was quietly opened a crack. The guy from another world sneakily looked inside, and after finding out that it was safe, he immediately tiptoed out. He carefully closed the door and sneakily went downstairs again. His movements were like a little thief who was trying to steal a chicken. Taking advantage that no one noticed, Yu Yang left the student residence and sneaked into the darkness. When he came out again, he had already changed into a set of black clothes for night travel. Masked. If one did not observe carefully, they might even mistake him for Qing Mo, who was also dressed as a black masked assassin. Yu Yang, who was dressed in such a strange outfit, quickly moved forward in the darkness. With a few jumps, he had already arrived at the core area of the ancient pavilion, the Heaven's Pride Academy. The Heaven's Pride Academy was the place responsible for the assessment of the students. It was not far from the student residence, but before the assessment, students were generally forbidden to enter to prevent all kinds of cheating. Of course, there were also some students who did not participate in the assessment, or students who volunteered to serve the assessment of Heaven's Pride Academy. They would also temporarily stay in the academy, assisting the teachers in the academy, providing various testing environments and living facilities for the assessment. In the middle of the night, what did Yu Yang want to do by coming to Heaven's Pride Academy? No one knew. After entering the Heaven's Pride Academy, in less than half an hour, Yu Yang quietly slipped out again. Returning to the student residence, Zhang Xian closed the door and continued to huff, as if he had never left. Furthermore, on the second day, Yu Yang was eating breakfast in the students' canteen as if nothing had happened. When others were discussing about a suspicious person entered the Heaven's Pride Academy last night, there was not a single trace of panic on his face. Tell me, was it you last night? Mingzhu Prince quietly asked Yu Yang. I slept until dawn. Yu Yang lied with his eyes wide open, speaking confidently as if it was a matter of course. How could you be so obedient? Mingzhu Prince seriously suspected that if there was someone in the world who dared to barge into the Heaven's Pride Academy at night, then there was a 99% chance that it was the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Baron Titan. The reason why he was not 100% sure was because Mingzhu Prince felt that if it was really Yu Yang who barged into the Heaven's Pride Academy at night, no one would find out. It's impossible to sleep until dawn. I even got up in the middle of the night to take a bath. You don't know, last night, not only was the Heaven's Pride Academy robbed, in my dream, there was also a naked female thief who barged in. In a fit of anger, I took her down and interrogated her. I was sweating profusely, and in the end, I had no choice but to take a bath. Now that I think about it, that female thief's figure was really good. Yu Yang said as he sank into his beautiful memories, almost drooling from the corner of his mouth. All right, pretend I didn't say anything. Mingzhu Prince suddenly felt that talking to this person was a kind of self-torture. It really made him speechless. If it wasn't me who barged into the Heaven's Pride Academy last night, then could it be you? Yu Yang suddenly asked. Hey, I'm not that bored, okay? Mingzhu Prince gave him a supercilious look. If it wasn't me and it wasn't you, then who could it be? Yu Yang asked as if he was a thief. It definitely wasn't me, but it could be you. You haven't completely eliminated the possibility of it being a crime. Mingzhu Prince temporarily believed Yu Yang for a second, but he still had the most basic suspicions. Who asked Yu Yang to look more and more like a thief who barged into the Heaven's Pride Academy at night? What did Heaven's Pride Academy lose? Yu Yang spread out his hands, indicating that he wouldn't barge into that kind of place where there were no beauties. I'm not sure, I heard that nothing was lost. Mingzhu Prince felt that this was more suspicious. Of course, it was also because of Yu Yang's perverted nature that Heaven's Pride Academy didn't have any beauties, and the people who lived there were mostly old men. It wasn't worth it to barge into it at night, which could be considered as an explanation. If there was even a single beautiful teacher in the Heaven's Pride Academy, then Yu Yang definitely wouldn't be able to escape. Mingzhu Prince would definitely think that he was the culprit of the night attack. It wasn't easy to fool him. Yu Yang was afraid that Mingzhu Prince would investigate further in this aspect, so he generously treated him to a meal, indicating that wherever Mingzhu Prince wanted to go to play, he would definitely accompany him to the end. Mingzhu Prince was happy in his heart. He was a little suspicious at first, but after thinking about it, it could also be that this brat had obtained an ancient artifact, and wanted to use fun and delicious things to bribe him, so that he wouldn't reveal his secret. Thus, he didn't have any more suspicions, and directly waved his hand and ordered, "Prisoner Titan, if you perform well today, then this judge will consider whether or not to sentence you lightly." Yu Yang pretended to bow respectfully. "Don't worry, eat and play as much as you want, I will definitely flatter you to your heart's content. If I don't slap your little butt till it swells, then I won't be able to show off my abilities." Mingzhu Prince was extremely annoyed. How could this person speak like that? But he couldn't scold him. Before he could even put on a stern face and scold him, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. It had to be said that this brat's tricks were quite amusing. Just as he was about to step forward, 3 white-clothed girls suddenly appeared in front of him, as if they were waiting. Yu Yang didn't seem to see them, and pulled Mingzhu Prince and turned to leave. Behind him, however, was a man carrying a strange, sparkling statue. He rushed toward the 3 girls in white, pretending to be at ease as he waved his shoulder-length hair. Then, in what he thought was his most elegant manner, he courteously greeted them. "The 3 divine envoys entrusted me with this task. After a day of bitter searching, Jin Qi finally unearthed this treasure from the depths of the Sea of Trees." At first, Kinch didn't dare to affirm, but he was afraid of losing the task entrusted by the oracles, so he didn't report the ancient artifact at the first instance, but returned to the student residence, and looked for all the teachers to appraise it together. After the teachers all agreed, Kinch then found out that this object was indeed the ancient artifact, entrusted by the three oracles. Kinch is so lucky to be able to complete the task entrusted by the three oracles after countless heroes' efforts were in vain. The person who had rushed over to blow the trumpet was Jin Chi. At this time, the young master of Golden Leaf City, with what he thought was his most elegant posture and most moving voice, vividly described how hard it was for him, how he racked his brains, and finally dug out this treasure in the heart of the forest in the eastern summit with great difficulty. It was as if he didn't tell the whole process of searching for the treasure, it would be a loss for everyone in the world. He even confirmed with a little bit of pride, saying that in the secret room of Heaven's Pride Academy, there was also an ancient artifact that was similar to this one. It's obvious that these two ancient relics are a pair. It was because of this important information that Kinch dared to report to the three oracles. The task entrusted by the oracles to find the object has been completed, and I will officially hand over the task. May the three oracles verify it. When Kinch said this, Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince looked at each other, and suddenly realized that the person who entered Heaven's Pride Academy last night was this guy. Congratulations to Kinch for completing the task entrusted to you. A few friends who were good friends with Kinch immediately followed up, and spared no effort in praising him. Only young Master Kinch can do it. If it was someone else, I'm afraid they wouldn't even have the qualifications to accept the task, let alone complete it. Someone deliberately glanced at Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince, full of provocation. Completing such a task will definitely make the three oracles happy, and there is hope for a big reward. A student hinted that it was time for the reward, and everyone's anticipation should not be too low. I don't dare, it is my duty to die for the oracles, how could I dare to claim credit? Young Master Kinch was even more noble than the officials of the Celestial Empire who served the people. Looks like the champion this time is unavoidable. In the crowd of onlookers, even those who were not Kinch's friends sighed. They felt that Kinch, who had completed the task entrusted by the three oracles, would definitely become the champion of this year's assessment. Not to mention that he had a gold-ranked strong magnetic war doll. There were not many decent opponents in this year's assessment. Ji Wuri, Zhong Hua and Captain Cook, who were rarely seen in 1,000 years, had given their all last time. This year's assessment was only a group of mediocre people. How could they be compared to Kinch's strong magnetic war doll? Especially when Kinch had completed the ancient artifact search task that even Ji Wuri and Zhong Hua could not complete. Now, even if they were jealous, it was useless. Who asked Kinch to be so lucky? The ancient artifact that even Ji Wuri could not find. He actually guessed correctly. East Peak Wuhai, it was not that no one had thought of the tree sea, but really followed this to dig out the ancient artifact. No one really did that. Who knew that Kinch would randomly guess correctly? If this was not unstoppable luck, then what was it? Many students sighed. The reason why everyone was still here watching was that they wanted to see what kind of reward the three oracles would give to Kinch. He had completed the task entrusted to him by all the elites since ancient times, but no one could complete it. The reward would definitely not be small. It was just that they did not know what the reward would be. If it was an item above the sacred level, or a platinum-ranked war doll, then everyone would definitely regret it to the point of bleeding from the 7 orifices. It was obvious that the tree sea was so simple. Why didn't they dig it out themselves? Letting Kinch, this kid, pick up such a bargain, it was really... God has no eyes. Although Kinch said it modestly, expressing that he did not dare to take credit, and even more did not dare to ask for a reward from the oracles for such a small matter. But the pride in his eyes was a blatant flaunting. See, I, Kinch, am the chosen one. Everyone come and envy me, come and hate me. Young Master Ming Zhu used all his strength to suppress his laughter with great difficulty. He had to grab Yu Yang's arm with all his might in order to barely stand. Otherwise, he would laugh from the bottom of his heart until his body softened and he fell to the ground laughing. The low-key and guilty Yu Yang quickly left. If he stayed here, wouldn't he be afraid that others would take that thing back? It was not easy to get his hands on it. Whatever task it was, he had to make sure that it was safe first. However, Mingzhu Prince pulled him back and did not let him leave. This was because young Master Mingzhu insisted on staying behind to see what kind of grand prize the three god envoys would give Jin Qi in the end. Most importantly, young Master Mingzhu wanted to see Jin Qi's marvelous expression. Although it had not appeared yet, he reckoned that it would be even better than changing his face. Yu Yang sighed in his heart. It was not wrong to say that curiosity killed people. What was there to see? If he continued to look, he would also be trapped. They had already come knocking on his door. It was fine if he did not run away, but he actually stayed to watch others show. What kind of mentality was this? Student, don't be too curious. Chapter 1094. The three white-clothed female envoys didn't say a word. Furthermore, the round-faced female envoys looked towards Yu Yang with her big bright eyes, easily finding Yu Yang who was hiding in the crowd. This glance made Yu Yang, who was just passing by, feel dizzy. Although these three looked like delicate white-clothed girls on the surface, they were still the gods' envoys. As expected, they weren't that easy to fool. However, the ancient artifact that was already in his pocket was equivalent to food in his stomach. How could he take it out so easily? He continued to act dumb. Anyway, they wouldn't search him personally. The guy from another world calmly looked up at the sky with the legendary 45-degree angle of view. He was just short of holding up a sign that said, "I didn't find any ancient artifact at the bottom of the sea." Kinch's friends waited for a long time, but there was no movement, so they quickly added fuel to the fire. Maybe the gods' envoys wanted to reward him in private and keep a low profile. But as nobles, what they fought for was glory. They wanted to reward him in public. They wanted to be envied by everyone. They wanted the jealousy and hatred in people's hearts. How could they not be high profile? They had to win this mission in front of so many students. Ji Wuri, Zhong Hua, Captain Cook, and even countless elite students and peerless geniuses couldn't complete this mission. If Kinch were to win it today, his reputation would definitely soar. He might even surpass Ji Wuri, who was said to be the closest to God. Congratulations, young Master Kinch, congratulations, young Master Kinch. We are really impatient now. Haha, we can't wait to know what kind of reward the three gods' envoys will give you. What will it be? Holy weapon? Platinum battle puppet? Kinch's friends were already fantasizing impatiently. It's just a small mission. I was lucky to complete it. How could I dare to ask for a reward? Although Kinch's words were humble, his face was filled with pride of being the first person in history. At this time, not only were they Kinch's friends, they were also jealous and hateful students. They all wanted to know what the reward for completing the mission was. On Kinch's side, he desperately wanted a higher reward. It would be best if it was a Saint-tier battle avatar, but if it was 100 or so platinum-tier battle avatars, he would barely accept it. The students, who were filled with jealousy and hatred, secretly cursed. Firstly, they cursed that the reward would be extremely small. It would be best if it was just a word of praise. Although they knew that it was impossible, they still hoped that Kinch would not receive such a heavy reward. Now, only the strong magnetic war puppet had been mentioned so much. If he received a holy artifact or a platinum war puppet, who knew how much he would boast about it? The second was to curse Kinch, the fellow who had stepped on dog shit, to die an early death. It would be best if he was overjoyed and died of madness in front of everyone. Or, when he went back to celebrate, he would get drunk and step on the wrong stairs, fall down and die with his mouth full of mud. In short, both sides were cursing each other incessantly. Kinch, who was stuck in the middle, suppressed his joy and tried his best to look humble. However, the pride in his eyes that said, "I really don't want to be rewarded, but if you really want to reward me heavily, I can't do anything about it," could not be concealed. In addition to these two parties, there were also third-party neutral onlookers like Mingzhu Prince. They were onlookers for no other reason. They were purely here to watch the show. They wanted to see how interesting Kinch's expression would be and how the incident would end. Of course, there were very few people like Mingzhu Prince who knew the truth but refused to say it and just watched Kinch make a fool of himself. Even Zhong Hua, who was secretly observing from afar, was not one of them. On the other hand, the great sage Silver Pupil, who appeared on the other side with Rentienge, Haug, and the others, had a meaningful smile on his lips, as if he had guessed some of the truth. Also, Qing Mo, who was hiding in the darkness, also looked at Yu Yang, who was watching the show and eating a chicken leg in the crowd, and then disappeared. How would things develop after this? The slightly black-bellied Mingzhu Prince guessed maliciously. Needless to say, Kinch definitely did not complete the mission entrusted to him. Unless Titan was willing to take out the ancient artifact, no one would be able to complete the mission that no one had been able to since ancient times. Who would have thought that the real ancient artifact would require gathering the infinite energy stones of the 4 teleportation portals together to teleport to a new space, and then, under the protection of 100 tidal giant puppets, to enter the bottom of the sea and search for the ancient artifact. Even if there was someone with the same goal as Titan, who had collected and moved the teleportation stone to the central island guarded by the tidal giants, it would still be impossible to obtain the ancient artifact. This was because, other than Titan, who could grow puppets at any time and place, no one would be able to break through the protection of the tidal puppets. No one would be able to easily enter the bottom of the sea and search for the ancient artifact wantonly. Actually, Mingzhu Prince, who liked to watch other people's tragedies, was right. Other than Yu Yang, who had the Heaven Eyes divine vision, since ancient times, there was really no one else who would suspect that the God's stone used for teleportation was an innate condition to obtain the ancient artifact. This was an inconceivable suspicion that none of the elite students, including Ji Wuri, had ever had. Since ancient times, many people believed that there was something wrong with the mission entrusted to them. However, no one could find the real goal. There were so many suspicious clues that even the smartest person would get lost in it. To truly solve the mystery, one must have a pair of eyes like Yu Yang's to see through the truth. One must also have the knowledge inheritance and the ancient rune purification and other conditions that complemented each other. Not a single one could be missing. An ordinary student would never be able to fulfill these conditions. It was just like how an ordinary person who had never come into contact with puppets would never be able to create a divine weapon. More and more students came to watch after hearing the news. In the end, they surrounded him so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. The 3 girls in white looked at each other and finally opened their mouth. Kinch and the others were ecstatic. Suppressing their excited and rapid heartbeats, they pricked up their ears, wanting to hear every single word of the God's messenger's praise. At this historical moment, even if they missed a single word, it would be a lifelong regret. Regarding the mission of searching for the ancient artifact, we originally did not want too many people to participate. After all, this is a difficult mission that not everyone can complete. If we let everyone participate, it might greatly affect everyone's lives and studies. Thus, us sisters have always been looking for students who would not easily affect their studies and lives, to entrust the mission of searching for the ancient artifact. The most gentle and elegant girl in the middle caressed the silver grimoire with her fingers as she explained why this was not a mission that ordinary people could accept. Yes, the 3 gods' messengers are right. Rather than letting those people waste their time, it would be better to act according to the criteria and succeed in one fell swoop. When Kinch heard that the ancient artifact had to be an elite, he was even more pleased. Many students were furious. Regarding the matter of the 3 gods' messengers only looking for elite students to complete the mission, it was not that they could not understand. Who asked them to not be outstanding enough? It was normal that they did not look for them to complete the mission. But why were you, Kinch, being so arrogant here? I heard that your strong magnetic war doll was made by someone else. It was just that you stole the name of that master maker. Do you really think that you are a master maker just by hanging an outstanding shell that deceives the world? Do you really think that you are an elite student? We did not expose you because we are not that bored and too lazy to report you. But do you really think that you are so arrogant just because you are an important person? If the three gods' messengers were not in front of them, and Kinch had already found the ancient artifact and was about to complete the mission, everyone would have drowned him with their saliva. If Jiwuri, Zhonghua, and the others said that he was an elite, it would be fine. How many times have you, Kinch, participated in the evaluation? When have you ever been outstanding? If you did not have the strong magnetic war doll in your hands, you would just be a piece of trash. It would even be a waste of materials to be recycled. How dare you pretend to be a fatty here? Almost all the students glared at Kinch. This was no longer a matter of jealousy over the ancient artifact mission. It was not a big problem if Kinch wanted to be an elite student. But if he wanted to treat everyone as fools, no one would be able to stand it. Regarding the ancient artifact search mission, we sisters would like to apologize to all the students here. The white-clothed girl in the middle holding the silver grimoire and the two white-clothed girls on her left and right bowed slightly. The surrounding students were extremely touched and hurriedly returned the greeting, saying that they did not dare to do so. The trace of dissatisfaction that was hidden in the depths of their hearts instantly disappeared. The ancient artifact mission was not something that ordinary students could accept. This was nothing. After all, there were only a few elite. Kinch, this lucky bastard, had blocked the three gods' messengers and forcefully requested for the mission. It was not even a sincere request from the three gods' messengers. The process of completing the ancient artifact mission is extremely dangerous. One's mental ability is indispensable. The white-clothed girl with the tallest stature nodded solemnly. This is also the reason why no one has been able to successfully complete it since ancient times. In order to ensure safety, we try our best to find students who are able to protect themselves. This means that it is not because we have a clear hierarchy of students, but purely for the sake of safety. All the students' starting point is actually the same. However, because of their different abilities and growth directions, the choices we make are also different. So it's like this. The students suddenly understood. But why did Golden Leaf City's young master, Kinch, complete it so easily? There was no danger to his life at all. Mingzhu Prince smiled like a flower. Yu Yang suddenly felt that this outwardly obedient Mingzhu was actually very bad at heart. The students immediately reacted and looked at the three gods' messengers with ecstasy. Could it be that there was still a change in the situation? What do you mean? Kinch flew into a rage. Are you guys suspecting me? I also don't think it's that simple. Who doesn't know how to dig out a stone in the forest? Yu Yang originally didn't want to speak, but Mingzhu Prince stepped on his foot forcefully, so he had no choice but to stand up and express his opinion. What a joke. Jealousy is a person's most fatal weakness. You guys are jealous of my success. The ancient artifact is in my hands. No matter how you guys try to deny it, it's useless. Kinch was strangely angry. Digging out the ancient artifact in the middle of the forest ocean wasn't difficult, but who asked you guys to think too complicatedly? You guys weren't willing to treat the simplest things as the truth. You guys had to rack your brains to think of a different path? Now that I have dug out the ancient artifact, you guys think it was easy. Can you guys be even more shameless? To be able to do something that had never been done before in history, it was a kind of pioneering work. It was a kind of record. It was a kind of success. It was also the greatest embodiment of his intelligence and ability. Kinch and his friends lifted up the glowing stone statue together. At this moment, Yang Ping, who was born in Yenyang City, and his gloomy companions stared at Yu Yang with all their might. Their fierce gazes were like knives, incomparably sharp knives. Fortunately, these were not real knives. Otherwise, both Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince would have been dead, even if they had 10 lives each. Yu Yang completely ignored those murderous gazes. While chewing on his drumstick, he shook his head. Whether it's a real ancient artifact or not, it's not up to you to decide. What he meant was that the 3 god envoys had to say it first. It's not up to you to decide. This sentence was an understatement. But it was a huge blow to the hearts of Kinch's people. Kinch and the others stared hatefully at Yu Yang with eyes that could spit fire. If the 3 god envoys confirmed that this ancient artifact was real, they would probably force Yu Yang to eat this strange stone statue raw in the end. Everyone looked at the 3 girls in white. Kinch's words did not count. Everyone else's words also did not count. Only they had the right to say it. Now, they were waiting for them to reveal the mystery. Was this strange stone statue an ancient artifact, or was it not? There is actually a reason why we gave 3 hints to every student who entered the treasure hunt. The round-faced girl in white that Yu Yang wanted to tease the most smiled. If everyone knows the 3 hints, you can reflect on it. The hints that we are talking about, firstly, are the ancient artifact, and not just one. Secondly, it is the key to opening the ancient artifact switch after gathering all of them. Thirdly, there is a mysterious power that can guide people in a certain direction. Before she finished, the surrounding students had already started cheering. Some of them even shouted at Kinch to vent their hatred. Idiot, there is not just one ancient artifact, not just one, not just one. As they shouted, they even formed a sound wave, which became louder and louder, pouncing towards Kinch and the others, as if they wanted to drown them. Kinch's face was like a pig's liver, but he still did not admit defeat. What do you know? Last night, I had already entered the Heaven's Pride Academy to take a look. There is also an ancient artifact inside. It is indeed not the only one, there is another one in the Heaven's Pride Academy. I am not wrong, you are the ones who are wrong. With his counterattack, everyone quietened down. Although Kinch violated the rules and entered the Heaven's Pride Academy to investigate, but according to what he said, there was not just one ancient artifact. This point was not wrong. In this ancient artifact, there is a mysterious power stored inside. As long as it is combined with the one in the Heaven's Pride Academy, I believe that it will be able to open the ancient artifact switch that the God Envoy mentioned, and show the correct direction. You idiots, what's the use of shouting? Do you think that by shouting you can change the truth? Do you think that by shouting you can change the fate of your low intelligence? A bunch of big-mouthed toads. Kinch laughed complacently. Since they had already fallen out, then he would not be polite anymore, and directly counterattack. The students could not take it anymore, and could only look towards Mingzhu Prince for help. They did not recognize Yu Yang, who was beside Mingzhu Prince. But what kind of person was Mingzhu Prince? There was no one they did not know. Now, it seemed that only Mingzhu Prince could step on this cocky young Master Kinch. Facing the expectant gazes of the surrounding students, Mingzhu Prince raised his small face, and humphed at Yu Yang with a pleased look. Yu Yang hurriedly flattered him, and brought out a chair in front of everyone. Who do you think Mingzhu Prince is? He is like a savior, there is no need for you to do anything. For trash like Jinkala, I, a little follower who stands beside you and flatters you, can also beat him down with one hand. Please take a seat, just watch me take down Jinkala, I promise I will not waste your time. Mingzhu Prince was overjoyed. He wanted to hold back his laughter and pretend to be serious, but it was impossible. After rejecting the chicken drumstick that Yu Yang had already taken a few bites from, he sat down and crossed his legs. He casually waved his hand and casually ordered, I'll give you a chance, perform well, if you don't perform well, don't come back. Kinch was so angry that his navel was crooked. It was a great humiliation. He had never been looked down upon like this in his life. Was there any justice in this world? Mingzhu Prince wanted to quarrel with himself. No matter what, Yu Yang was still a genius, but who the hell were you? A little follower, how dare you say such words? You are simply courting death. Stop, you said that this ancient artifact is fake. What proof do you have? Yang Ping was secretly happy now. This was the best time to trample this brat to death. I have no proof. Yu Yang spread out his hands. Just like whether you are your father's biological son, I also have no proof. Ha ha ha. Everyone roared with laughter. Please do not casually insult other people's relatives, unless this is your so-called aristocratic etiquette. Yang Ping was so angry that his whole body was trembling, but he could not turn hostile and make a move, at least not before he trampled this brat in front of him. Yang Ping took a deep breath and sneered. You said that this ancient artifact is fake. On what basis? Have you seen the real one? I have never seen the real one. Yu Yang replied unhurriedly. Even if I have never seen how a pig dies, I have eaten pork before. Clap clap. A few students felt that this brat's counterattack was not bad, and started to clap to encourage Yu Yang. You have never seen the real ancient artifact, and you can't take out any real evidence. On what basis do you think it is fake? Yang Ping felt that he had already won. He looked at the students around him and shouted, Don't deny it just because you want to deny it. The truth is the truth. You are unhappy that someone else completed the mission, and out of jealousy, you deliberately distorted the truth. Is this also the behavior of aristocrats? Unless you want to be like this rascal in front of me, deliberately confusing the truth. Do you think that you can deny the existence of the ancient artifact just like that? Do you think that you can obtain the approval of the god's envoy? Look, it is right in front of you. No matter how much you hate it or how you deny it, it will not disappear. The god's envoy's approval of it will not change. This is the truth, the iron-like truth. What a wonderful speech, much more pleasant to listen to than a dog barking. Yu Yang clapped his hands and praised. However, I want to remind you that the iron-like truth can sometimes be a joke caused by greed and overconfidence. Nonsense. Kinch and Yang Ping shouted angrily in unison. If you think that what I said doesn't count, then you can ask Baron Zhonghua. As the runner-up in the previous tournament, you also acknowledge that he is a genius. No one should doubt his words. Yu Yang dragged Zhonghua, who was watching from afar, into the water. Hearing what he said, Zhonghua, who originally only wanted to watch the show, hurriedly came over to greet the three gods' envoys. He also greeted the many students, putting on the appearance of a refined and courteous gentleman. It doesn't matter who you find. The truth is the truth, there is no room for you to quibble. Kinch strongly suspected that Yu Yang said this on purpose, waiting for him to throw away the ancient artifact in his hands, and then take the opportunity to take advantage of it. It is indeed fake. When Zhonghua opened his mouth, the whole crowd was in an uproar. What? Although the students wanted to hear this answer, when they really heard it, they felt that it was inconceivable. The reason why I said that this ancient artifact is fake is because I have been tricked before. Zhonghua smiled bitterly. This thing was actually stolen from Heaven's Pride Academy by Ji Wuri and buried in the Sea of Trees. I have also dug it up to take a look. Actually, with regards to whether there is really an ancient artifact buried in the Sea of Trees, almost everyone has the same suspicion. It's not just me, even Ji Wuri has been tricked before. Anyway, it doesn't take much effort to dig up the center to take a look. Although it's a little stupid, I believe that after entering the Eastern Summit, there are not many people who didn't dig up the center to take a look. We have all been tricked before, it's just that we didn't stupidly take back the statue or the things that were buried as a prank. Why would Ji Wuri do this? Kinch screamed. Not only him, everyone who has been tricked before would probably do the same. When Zhonghua said this, everyone laughed knowingly. Impossible, you're lying. When Yang Ping saw Yu Yang's smile, He felt that this smile was even more unbearable than if Yu Yang used a knife to cut his flesh. I can be a witness. Before you guys, I have also dug it up to take a look. Rentienga also walked over and smiled. I suspect that the ancient artifact is not in the eastern summit at all. There is no sea there at all. The Sea of Trees is not a sea, it's just a name. The real ancient artifact would not be buried in the center of the Sea of Trees. No matter which hint it is, it doesn't make sense. The God's messenger is definitely not wrong. You guys are just making wild guesses. The truth is not like that at all. Kinch roared in exasperation. He hugged the stone statue in his arms tightly, as if this strange statue would not become a fake as long as he didn't let go. We are not lying, the hint is correct. When the white-clothed girl with the silver grimoire said this, Kinch was immediately overjoyed, as if he had found a life-saving straw. However, she did not finish her sentence and continued, however, you cannot follow our instructions completely. We can only say a part of the code according to the rules. As for the rest, you must use your intelligence to think and search for it. He believed that many students understood this point. The East Peak was just the beginning. It wasn't everything, nor was it the only one. As mentioned earlier, it wasn't as simple as digging up something from the East Peak. It was extremely difficult, even life-threatening. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for no one to accomplish it since ancient times. Yu Yang clapped his hands and sang a modified nursery rhyme. Kinch's blood vessels almost burst when he heard this. He wanted to pretend to faint. However, he couldn't faint no matter how hard he tried. He was surprisingly awake. The people around Kinch also wished that they could immediately find a hole to hide in. On the other hand, the students were overjoyed. Those who had a good sense of music immediately learned it after listening to Yu Yang sing it once. They immediately clapped their hands and shouted. More and more students joined in. Even those who didn't have a good sense of music also shouted fool, and fool, as if they were in a frenzy. Ming Zhu, how was my performance? At this time, Yu Yang turned his head to ask for a reward. His appearance was like a husband kneeling on a washboard asking his wife, "Wife, can I sleep on the bed tonight?" Sincerely and fawningly. Nothing much. Mingzhu Prince happily jumped up from his chair and hugged him. He then punched his back and scolded jokingly, "You're really wicked. Your smile is the result of my lifetime's hard work." Yu Yang performed an extremely elegant knight's salute, just like a knight who was loyal to a princess. Chapter 1095. The three divine envoys had originally come to find Yu Yang, but after this incident, they had no way to talk to Yu Yang in private. What's more, with his quick reflexes, he had already dragged Mingzhu Prince away. The girl holding the silver grimoire didn't say anything when she saw this. Instead, it was the tall and handsome girl who snorted lightly, as if she was dissatisfied with Yu Yang's escape. The one with the most adorable round face was a little amused, but she tried her best to hold back her laughter. Soon, it was time for the tri-monthly life assessment ceremony. Before the final results were announced, the participating students still needed to do an evaluation. This evaluation wasn't a fixed score for the students, but a reference. If the students didn't get a good score in this evaluation, they could choose to give up. On the other hand, the students could use the evaluation to add point. For ordinary students, this last test was not essential, but for elite students, it was a very important round, and they had to fight for it. Before the assessment began, the teachers led their students to the Heaven's Pride Academy. Some cities had a lot of students, such as Golden Leaf City, which was ranked first. But some cities had very few. For example, Silver Maple City. In order to support Yu Yang's evaluation as much as possible, the principal and teacher O Meng only brought Yu Yang along to participate in the evaluation. The final evaluation is very important. You have to enter the tower beyond tower, and defeat the war puppets there to gain points. But for you, clearing the puppets shouldn't be a problem. The only thing I'm worried about is that the former seniors, the elites of the previous years, will attack you inside, which will affect your final score. Previously, the principal had not told Yu Yang about Lu Wailu. He was a teacher who abided by the rules. Perhaps other teachers and principals would secretly tell the students about Lu Wailu and leak the secret in advance so that the students could prepare in advance, creating an unfair competition. But the headmaster wouldn't do that. As long as it was a rule that had been established since ancient times, regardless of whether it was important or not, regardless of whether others violated it, regardless of whether the leak of information would cause unfair competition, he would abide by the rules to the end. Yu Yang was slightly puzzled. Did you say Luwelu? Before the headmaster could answer, Mingzhu Prince, who had caught up from behind, had already answered on his behalf. Luwelu is a special battlefield named after the ancient pavilions of Tianping Mountain. This place is called the Ancient Pavilions. Outside the Ancient Pavilions, there is another place similar to the Ancient Pavilions on Tianping Mountain. Therefore, we call that battlefield Pavilion Beyond Pavilion. Green Mountains Beyond the Mountains? Interesting. Yu Yang smiled. It's not just a little interesting, it's very scary. Chimu, the Twilight Prince who always showed off and seduced beautiful women, finally arrived before the assessment, panting. Scary. Yu Yang looked at him strangely. All the students will be teleported to the special battlefield in Heaven's Pride Academy. They will clear the puppets and beast puppets there and gain points. It looks easy on the surface, but in fact, it is the place with the highest death rate among the students. It is much higher than the death duel. Pavilion Beyond Pavilion is similar to the ancient pavilions on Tianping Mountain, but it is 10 times bigger. There is nothing but puppets inside. Any student who enters will be attacked by puppets and beast puppets. If you hide in the Puppet Academy, you will be fine. At most, only bronze puppets will attack you. If you are brave enough to leave the Puppet Academy, you will find that there are golden puppets everywhere. They are like sardines in the ocean. They can drown the intruder in an instant. As Chi Mu said this, he could not help but shiver. Why is that so? Yu Yang did not understand. Puppets and beast puppets were not living creatures. They could not reproduce. If one was destroyed, there would be one less. Since ancient times, after tens of thousands of years of consumption, how could there still be so many puppets? Even if there were originally densely packed golden puppets, after tens of thousands of years of consumption, there should not be many left. I am not too sure about the specific situation. The headmaster shook his head slightly. However, there is one thing that we can be sure of. There are at least 10 puppet manufacturing factories in Lu Wailu. They can continuously produce new puppets. No matter how much we consume them, it is impossible for them to reduce their numbers. Because the speed of production is faster than the speed of cleaning, every 100 years, there will be a large number of puppets squeezed out from the teleportation door in the Puppet Academy. When Meng mentioned Pavilion Beyond Pavilion, his face did not look too good. It seemed that he had suffered a loss inside. The headmaster was deeply afraid that Yu Yang's morale would be dampened, so he quickly comforted him. In fact, speaking of Pavilion Beyond Pavilion Beyond Pavilion, there have been several super elites who have accomplished the feat of destroying puppet factories. For example, Conquest Queen Fei Wenli from 10,000 years ago. She once used a large number of beast puppets to destroy 3 puppet factories. Another example is that more than 10 years ago, the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Little Titan's wise mother, also used a secret that we are still unable to crack to destroy 5 puppet factories at the critical moment of the outbreak of the puppet tide. This greatly alleviated the threat of the puppet tide. It is precisely because of this that there is the fief of the Star Diamond Castle. However, the puppet factories are controlled by a mysterious force. No matter how many times they are destroyed, to what extent they are destroyed, they can slowly recover. This may be the test that the ancient gods left for us, Human Valley, and the students. Yu Yang was stunned. He did not expect that there would be such a story in this special battlefield of pavilion beyond pavilion. Immediately, it aroused his strong interest. Perhaps he would be able to find some clues about his mother in those destroyed puppet factories. Most importantly, Yu Yang now had a strange feeling in his heart. The ancient relic that the three girls in white had entrusted him to find must be related to this pavilion beyond pavilion. Perhaps the key lay in the ancient relic in his hands. With it, it was possible to open an ancient switch and lead to a new secret. After some thought, Yu Yang decided to show his strength and search carefully in pavilion beyond pavilion. Perhaps the key to clearing the human valley was here. As for whether Ji Wuri, Zhong Hua, and the others would also enter to explore, he could not care so much now. Moreover, with Ren Tiange, the great sage silver pupil, the phantom of the Spirit King, Captain Cook, and other powerhouses to attract attention, Yu Yang felt that he could still keep a low profile for the time being. In any case, he could just let others do whatever they want, and pick up the spoils in the middle. The assessment officially began. In this assessment, which lasted for several days, the students who had not reached the last step and competed with each other could not determine who the real champion was. Whether it was the puppet, personal creation, creativity, research and development, invention and cultivation, etiquette, knowledge, combat, strategy, etc., they were all within the scope of assessment. It was not necessary to be an all-rounder, but it must be the person with the best comprehensive strength to be the final champion. What results could be achieved in 3 months of training? That depended on the efforts and understanding of the students. A powerful person like Ji Wuri could win the championship without any controversy in 3 months. On the contrary, a pseudo-genius like Kinch could retake the exam for 10 years and still be mediocre. If he didn't have the strong magnetic puppet and let Ji Wuri, Zhong Hua, and the others eliminate a large number of elites, it was estimated that even a fool would not be optimistic that he would win the championship. In the chosen academy, the students who participated in the assessment were all gathered together. Amidst the warm applause, the president of the chosen academy went on stage and delivered the assessment speech, as well as various assessment conditions and rules. His speech was concise and clear, unlike the long-winded speeches of the officials of the Celestial Empire. Yu Yang found that Qi Mu and the others did not have time to applaud before the old man finished speaking. He could not help but sweat profusely. The assessment of Lu Weilu is only for reference and is not necessary. If students feel that it is necessary to save their strength for later battles, they cannot sign up. On the contrary, students who feel that they need to warm up before the battle can sign up. The assessment points of Lu Weilu are not directly part of the assessment results, but are used as bonus points for reference only. In addition to the president of the chosen academy, there was also an old man who went on stage and explained the assessment rules of Lu Weilu. "I've already signed up for you, and I'm going to join as well. We'll definitely pave a bloody path for you and protect you. Listen, you have to destroy at least one puppet manufacturing factory. Otherwise, it'll be considered a failure." Now that he had a gold battle puppet, he would probably feel itchy all over if he didn't show it off for a day. "Will you die if you don't brag?" Yang Ping, who was standing not far away, sneered. Ever since Yu Yang offended him for the first time, he had always harbored hatred in his heart, and vowed to never let go. "I never talk to idiots." Qi Mu now looked down on small characters like Yang Ping. If it was Yang Ping's brother, Prince Yang Quan, he also felt that he was not an opponent of the same level. Now that he had 3 gold-ranked battle puppets and 7 silver-ranked battle puppets, he could even form a small puppet army by himself. How could he still treat his former opponents as his enemies? If it was not because it was not convenient to make a move now, an opponent of the level of Yang Ping would probably be blown away by Qi Mu's spider bomb puppet. Bickering was just bickering. On the surface, no one dared to behave atrociously in the Heaven's Pride Academy. Everyone pretended to be good students. It was just that when the teacher was not looking, they secretly hated each other and made some small move. They were prepared to show their colors after entering the tower beyond tower. Yu Yang did not pay attention to those provocators, nor did he look at Ren Tiange, Silver Pupil, Great Sage, Qing Mo, Haug and the others. He only waved goodbye to the principal and strode up the ancient platform of the academy. He passed through the teleportation door on the ancient platform and directly teleported to the tower beyond tower. Mingzhu Prince followed closely behind him. Then, it was past its prime. Yang Ping originally wanted to catch up, but before he could even take a step, he was blocked by the giant Haug. With a strong push, he almost fell down. He was so angry that he scolded the vulgar mercenaries for not knowing etiquette. Fortunately, there was a teacher from the Heaven's Pride Academy watching from afar. Otherwise, the angry Yang Ping would not be able to control himself and curse. He could not catch up in time, and was squeezed by a slender figure. Then, there were nearly 10 figures dressed in mercenary clothes, one after another, passed him and entered the tower beyond tower. Damn it, where did these bastards come from? Yang Ping found that these people were all new faces. He had never seen any of them before. They were all strangers. Mercenaries entering the tower beyond tower is courting death. Kinch was also calm at this time. Although he was deeply humiliated by the farce yesterday, and almost the entire Tianping mountain was laughing at him, Kinch was confident that he could turn the tables. With the strong magnetic war doll in hand, Kinch felt that it was time for him to show his power. Although it was impossible to catch up with Ji Worry's points in the tower beyond tower, it should not be a problem to catch up with Zhonghua and Captain Cook. Just when there was a commotion in front of the Heaven's Pride Academy's teleportation door, Yu Yang had already teleported to the tower beyond tower. As Chi Mu said, this place was indeed similar to Tianping Mountain. However, it was even bigger. It seemed that the ancient tower of Tianping Mountain was more like a miniature version of this place. The area where Yu Yang was at this time was in a puppet hall near the east. If one were to refer to the ancient tower, this was the location of the Heaven's Pride Academy. In the tower beyond tower, there was no Heaven's Pride Academy, but there were 4 puppet halls in the north, south, east, and west. Those who entered would be teleported to any of the puppet halls. However, like Mingzhu Prince, the moment the teleportation door flashed, he held Yu Yang's hand, and the two of them would be teleported to the same place. There are actually as many as 5 puppet halls, and one is said to be above us. However, without the flying war doll, no one can go there. Mingzhu Prince quickly explained, as long as a student comes here, the puppet war doll of Tower Beyond Tower will hear the news and rush over. It is indeed a wave of puppets. Yu Yang rushed to the entrance of the hall and found that in the distant area there was a huge black wave like a tsunami, directly sweeping over and approaching quickly. Those were all puppet beasts. He estimated that there were at least 100,000 of them, otherwise, it would be impossible to create such a scene. Mingzhu Prince's expression was a little serious, and he nodded. These are just the beginning. If you continue to stay in the puppet hall, then only the bronze-ranked puppet beasts will attack. But if you want to go outside, you will be surrounded by countless silver-ranked war dolls. If you want to go a little further, with the intention of approaching the puppet manufacturing factory, then there will be tens of thousands of golden puppets. Yu Yang paused for a moment, then suddenly asked a very important question. Has anyone entered the puppet manufacturing factory before? Why don't we go take a look? Mingzhu Prince looked at him dumbfounded. He could not answer. Now, even self-preservation was a problem, and he still wanted to enter the puppet manufacturing factory to take a look? It had to be said that this person's guts had reached an unimaginable level. Similarly, the students who were teleported into the East Puppet Hall, if they were the re-examination candidates, it would be fine, but those who had just entered were miserable, and they were scared out of their wits. The puppet beasts pounced over like a tsunami, black and dense, more terrifying than a tide, filling the entire sky and earth. These puppet beasts that were even more numerous than ants, how should they fight? This battle, could they fight? I am the Mig of Hightower City. People call me the Hightower Warwolf. You should have heard of my name. If you don't have a better idea, it is best to listen to my command. Listen, we will gather together, and first give up on the steps and the main door outside, and guard the second door of the hall. There is a kind of energy in the puppet hall that will reduce the energy of the puppet beasts. Other than bronze-ranked cannon fodder, or someone to lure the puppet beasts, silver-ranked and gold-ranked puppet beasts will not easily enter. We must gather all the war dolls and work together to guard here. You don't have to be afraid. There isn't enough space here, so there aren't many puppets that can fit in here. Most importantly, large puppets can't come in. I once had a successful record of holding on for an hour. As long as you all listen to me, we can hold on until the portal reopens in half an hour. An elite student who had just been teleported in took over command without any hesitation. With a veteran like him around, many of the pale-faced newbies barely managed to calm down. Let's go. Yu Yang was not interested in this kind of defense. He only wanted to take a look at the puppet manufacturing factory. Mingzhu Prince was furious, but since Yu Yang wanted to leave, he could only follow. In any case, no matter where Yu Yang went, Mingzhu Prince had to follow. He would definitely not let him slip away alone. What are you guys trying to do? Even if you want to die, you don't have to do this, right? Come back quickly. The Mig, who was known as the Hightower Warwolf, was arranging the defense. He turned his head and saw Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince rushing into the puppet wave. He was instantly scared stiff. Lunatic, he was definitely a lunatic. The sky was filled with puppet beasts, and they actually rushed over just like that. Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince rushed into the puppet wave, and did not even cause a small commotion. They were directly drowned in the puppet wave that was rushing towards them. In an instant, they disappeared without a trace. The Hightower Warwolf Mig saw this, swallowed his saliva, and mumbled, "Illusion, this must be an illusion." Chapter 1096. Puppet Academy, South Hall. Zhonghua controlled the sword dancer, the symbol of Silver Maple City, to guard the entrance. Countless puppet beasts surged towards him like a tide, but the sword dancer stood firm like a rock. In front of the powerful gold-rank puppet beasts, no amount of bronze-rank puppet beasts was enough. Moreover, under the command of a powerful person like Zhonghua, they could only be abused. Layers upon layers of sword light flashed like lightning. Zhonghua's sword dancer stood tall like a mountain, guarding the southern palace's gate. Any puppet beast that approached was cut into pieces by the sword light that could cut through iron like mud. For a moment, sparks flew everywhere. The puppet beasts that pounced on him had their limbs cut off, their remains flying all over the sky. With Zhonghua's super-strong defense, the students of the South Hall cheered. They all commanded their puppet beasts to help. All of them used their unique moves. Although the beasts attacking the South Hall were as numerous as the tide, their attacks couldn't advance any further as they slammed into Zhonghua's impenetrable defense. In the West Hall, Jin Qi was gleefully piloting his blood-drop Heavenly King. With a gold-ranked strong magnetic battle avatar, he felt that there was no need for him to use his strong magnetic ability to deal with these cannon fodder puppet beasts. He could destroy them with just his gigantic arms. Poor mercenaries, why aren't you being arrogant now? While attacking, Kinch did not forget to mock Qing Mo, Haug, and the others. You stink. So you use your mouth to fart. Haug would not tolerate it. He immediately raised his lips to retort. Do you believe that I won't destroy you right now? Kinch's voice was extremely sinister. Now that we are facing a great enemy, do not kill each other. Perhaps you have heard that I am Yang Quan of Yenyang City. If you wish, I am willing to guard the entrance and create a relatively safe environment for my juniors to fight. No matter what grudges we have outside, here, we must unite and fight as one. Otherwise, we will all be wiped out. Behind Yongping, there was a man with a formidable appearance. He stepped out from the crowd and spoke with a loud voice. This man was his elder brother, young Master Yangchuan. To be known as the Four Princes of Guangming along with Qi Mu, Mingzhu, and Qi Gui, Prince Yangquan was definitely not simple. This time, he took out a gold-ranked battle puppet, Spitfire, that was not any weaker than Qinch's magnetic battle puppet in terms of level and combat ability. Before jumping on the battle puppet and piloting the Spitfire to fight, Prince Yangquan not only stopped Qinch from attacking his own people, but also glanced at Qing Mo, Haug, and the others. Deep in his eyes, he looked at Haug and the others who were dressed as mercenaries with a little bit of disdain. However, his words were modest enough. Training on the battlefield is necessary for every student to grow. I am only slightly ahead of you and have accumulated some experience. If you don't mind, you can come up and fight with me. We can learn from each other and improve together. Qinch snorted. Do you think they are worthy? However, because of Prince Yangquan's identity, he could not offend him for the time being. Therefore, he lowered his voice as much as possible so that only a few people around him could hear him. Qing Mo was more low-key in his actions. Even if he had a gold-ranked battle puppet, he would not use it unless it was an important moment. Instead, he brought out the bronze battle puppet that he had bought with all his crystal fragments. The students around Qinch were all secretly sneering. With this broken battle puppet that was only slightly better than a whiteboard, he dared to challenge young Master Qinch to a fight? He really did not know what was good for him. However, Haug did not have too many scruples in this regard. If he had something good, he would naturally use it well. However, no matter how impulsive he was, it would not affect Yu Yang's evaluation plan. Haug, who rushed up to join the battle, did not take out the gold-ranked battle puppet early on. Instead, he rode on a silver-ranked giant steel wolf. Seeing this silver wolf, although Qinch still expressed his disdain, Prince Yangquan was slightly moved. Although this was not a gold-ranked battle puppet, its combat ability was very close. Moreover, looking at Haug's skill in controlling the battle puppet, he was also a top-notch expert and should not be underestimated. A top-notch expert who was only a mercenary could own a silver wolf? He did not have any impression of this huge man. It seemed like he was a newbie. A mercenary with a silver-ranked battle puppet? Or a newbie? Prince Yangquan suddenly felt a toothache. Not simple. This seemingly boorish and reckless huge man was definitely not simple. Rentienga and the great sage Silver Pupil and the others were even more low-key. They hid behind the crowd and rode on either the whiteboard battle puppet that they bought to conceal themselves, or the bronze-ranked battle puppet. Anyway, in the South Shrine's battlefield, no one noticed anything special about them. Actually, they were not the only ones who were hiding in the West Shrine and fighting in a low-key manner. If Yu Yang saw them, he would definitely recognize two of them. They were the Fire Shrine Master Burning Wind and the Dark Shrine Master Wan Mo from the Central Shrine. Mingzhu Prince's information was already 100% sure that Burning Wind and Wan Mo had been planning this for a long time. They had both gold-ranked blazing battle puppets and flesh battle puppets. They were the strongest competitors for the championship this time. Compared to the East Shrine where Yu Yang and Mingzhu Prince originally stayed, the South Shrine where Zhonghua stayed, and the West Shrine where Qing Mo, Haug, Rentienga, the Great Sage Silver Pupil, Burning Wind, Wan Mo, Prince Yangquan and Qinch, the North Shrine without any experts to defend it was a tragedy. The puppet beasts attacked the gate of the North Shrine like a tidal wave. The students inside, regardless of whether they were freshmen entering for the first time or experienced seniors, were all unable to resist this wave of steel. They were forced to retreat step by step. If they retreated a little too slowly, the puppets of a few students were drowned by the steel wave. Blood splattered everywhere, and their heads were separated from their bodies. Severed limbs were sent flying. In the blink of an eye, they were buried under the attack of the puppet beast. It was not that the North Shrine did not have any expert. However, people like the Phantom Spirit King, the Skinner King Sanguiner, and the Skeleton King Golden Remains were all in the North Shrine. However, they were watching with a faint smile on their faces. They were completely indifferent to the deaths around them. The few of them were not good people to begin with. All of them were evil to the extreme. If they were not forced to cooperate with Yu Yang, they would probably have walked the path of a rebel army like the heaven-splitting demon Venerable. The world's order, rules, and laws were all nonsense to them. If it were not for the fact that they felt that cooperating with Yu Yang would be easier, they would not even bother to come to the ancient pavilion on Tianping Mountain, let alone take the assessment test. According to the thoughts of the Phantom Spirit King and Sanguiner, it did not matter how many students died. The key was how to deal with Ji Wuri or Zhong Hua here. The previous setback in the Devil's Valley made the Phantom Spirit King, Sanguiner, and Golden Remains gnash their teeth in hatred. That brat Tai Tan was too abnormal. It was destined that they would not be able to compete with him. Then forget it. However, they had to avenge Ji Wuri and Zhong Hua no matter what. If it was possible, they would not let that heaven-splitting demon Venerable have an easy time. Help! The students in the North Shrine were scared out of their wits by the steel wave in front of them. They all fled in all directions. We would like to help, but we are unable to. The Phantom Spirit King and the others ignored them and let the puppet beasts slaughter the students. Light of vengeance! At the most critical moment, a shadow suddenly floated out from the darkness inside the East Shrine. His entire body was emitting a light that was comparable to that of a god. Anyone who saw him would have an inexplicable urge to worship him. It was as if looking at his face for an extra moment was an unforgivable blasphemy. At the same time, an exquisite 15-meter-tall puppet beast appeared. It was golden in color and incomparably mighty. There was also a pair of silver wings on its back. Although this wasn't enough to allow it to fly, it could still greatly enhance its jumping and gliding abilities. Moreover, it looked especially holy and dignified. Before the godlike man flew up and floated on the exquisite puppet beast that looked 80% like its master, some students were so excited that they could not help but shout, Prince of Vengeance, Ji Wuri." Ji Wuri, who was riding on the Prince of Vengeance, jumped up in a cool manner and quickly swept through the space of tens of meters in the shrine. At an unknown time, he was already holding a sword in his hand. The Light of Vengeance, which was powered by the endless energy god stone, gently slashed across, and the dozens of puppet beasts that the Wolf of the Tower Mig used to deal with were all instantly killed by the sword. Under the fanatical gaze of the Wolf of the Tower Mig, the Prince of Vengeance, driven by Ji Wuri, rushed out of the East Shrine's gate and landed on the steps. He raised his hand above his head and slashed down heavily. The whole world was instantly immersed in a dazzling brilliance. When everyone's eyes regained their sight, they were shocked to find that all the puppet beasts within a straight line of a few hundred meters from the East Shrine to the North Shrine had disappeared. Amidst the ocean of puppets that were like tidewater, a terrifying mark of the sword was extremely clear. In the sword mark, no matter whether it was the bronze-level puppet beasts, silver-level puppet beasts, or even gold-level puppet beasts, they all turned into scrap metal and became debris on the ground. God, as expected of the man closest to God. The Wolf of the Tower Mig murmured absent-mindedly. Behind him, many students were so scared that they knelt down. "My knights, where are you?" The Prince of Vengeance that Ji Wuri controlled waved his hand in a carefree manner. "Your Royal Highness, we've all answered the summons." 10 men flew out from the north, south, east, and west shrines and rushed over. Ignoring the wave of puppet beasts not far away, they knelt respectfully in front of the Prince of Vengeance that was driven by Ji Wuri. "Follow them. With a wave of Ji-Wuri's hand, 10 golden battle puppets in the shape of knights flew out of his storage ring and landed in front of the 10 men. Yes! The 10 of them jumped onto the battle puppets in the shape of knights and followed closely behind Ji-Wuri's Prince of Vengeance. They rushed toward the northern hall to save the students who were dying tragically. Some of the struggling students in the North Shrine were instantly moved to tears when they saw Ji-Wuri leading his 10 knights and rushing over. Even the cowards who were desperately running away were immediately filled with hope when they saw that they could be saved. They returned to fight the puppet beasts to the end. Can't be compared. The difference is too big. I've worked hard for 10 years, but I don't even have a golden battle puppet. But he's only been here for a few months, and not only did he create the Prince of Vengeance, he also has 10 loyal knights. Even the knights are all riding on golden battle puppets. The wolf of the tower Mig sat down on the steps powerlessly. To him, Ji-Wuri's appearance was not only shocking, it also deeply injured him. His passion turned into cold sweat in the face of absolute power. Now that he thought about it, there was nothing but shock. Zhonghua, who was showing off his power in the South Shrine, couldn't help but snort angrily when he saw this scene. Compared to Ji-Wuri's flashy appearance, his previous efforts were all in vain. Now, not only the students from the East, West, and North Shrines, but even the students from the South Shrine who worshipped him couldn't help but cheer for Ji-Wuri, who had just killed thousands of puppet beasts, and cheer for him. On the other hand, Zhonghua, who had just killed thousands of puppet beasts, was ignored. Fire! Zhonghua angrily released 2 gold-level jet beasts and asked them to store energy. They fired 2 shots at the puppet beasts outside, trying to turn the tables. The jet beasts were extremely powerful. They had once fought Captain Cook's ocean warrior one-on-one. The energy released by the 2 of them was, of course, terrifying. The sky and earth turned dark. The rumbling explosion was deafening. 200 meters in front of the South Shrine's steps, 2 paths were cleared, and the puppet beasts inside were almost wiped out. Other than a broken golden puppet beast and a few half-dead silver puppet beasts, all the bronze puppet beasts were melted into molten iron, killed by the energy cannons of the jet beast. However, it was a pity that, although this scene was shocking enough, it couldn't change the power of Ji-Wuri's Prince of Vengeance. The sword just now was too shocking and shocking. Even Zhonghua's 2 jet beasts seemed to pale in comparison. In the South Shrine, a few of Zhonghua's fans also cheered for this, but more people were still immersed in the sword just now and couldn't wake up. Compared to Ji-Wuri, although Zhonghua was outstanding, he was still far from being comparable. Seeing this, Zhonghua couldn't help but feel bitter in his heart. He originally thought that it was very fast for him to make another jet beast, but he didn't expect that Ji-Wuri would have 10 more night puppets in such a short time, and all of them were above the gold level. They were not inferior to the jet beast. This was Ji-Wuri's strength. This was also a distance that he couldn't surpass. After saving the students of the North Shrine, Ji-Wuri didn't guard in front of the door like Zhonghua. He led the 10 knights and directly charged into the horde of puppet beasts. Moreover, they advanced with irresistible force, charging towards the nearest puppet manufacturing factory. Ji-Wuri! 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 At first, someone shouted Ji-Wuri's name. But with this shout, more and more students joined in, and finally, like a flood, almost all the students shouted in unison to cheer for Ji-Wuri. Young people like Wolf of the Tower, Mig, and people like Kinch, who were eager to show off, rushed out of the puppet hall and attacked the puppet beast tide, launching an all-out counterattack. Among them, the one who charged the fastest and was the strongest was Zhonghua, who rode on a sword dancer and had 2 jet beasts. Zhonghua definitely didn't want to help Ji-Wuri, but he couldn't stand the fact that Ji-Wuri stole the limelight and the hearts of all the students. Besides them, Prince Yongquan, who was riding a jet beast, followed closely behind. Idiots! How Genqing Mo didn't rush out like the hot-headed student. Many people will die in this battle, Rentienga said with a frown. He felt that with Ji Worry's bait, many hot-headed and weak students would die. It was easy to rush out, but it would be difficult to come back. Now that 200 to 300 people had rushed out, it would be good if 1/10 of them returned. If not, how can Ji Worry save people and win their hearts? How do you win people's hearts? Great sage Yin Tong shook his head slightly. He could naturally see that Ji Worry was doing this on purpose. Ji Worry would lead people to attack the puppet factory, regardless of success or failure. He would win the hearts of the people. If he saved a few more students with potential on the way back, such as elites like Prince Yang Quan and Wolf of the Tower, then it would be very easy to get another batch of elite knights. Even if Prince Yang Quan and Wolf of the Tower Mig didn't join those knights, they would still form an iron alliance with Ji Worry for saving their lives. Therefore, it didn't matter to Ji Worry how many students died. What was important was that the fiercer the battle, the better it was for Ji Worry to bestow favors. In this bloody battle, 2 shadows were sitting on the roof of the puppet manufacturing factory, gnawing on roasted corn. They ate with relish. It was like watching a play in a big theater. The shadow on the left nudged the shadow on the right with his elbow. "Look, it's so cool. Can't you learn a little?" The shadow on the right was very calm. "Don't quarrel, focus on the play. Do you think this kind of puppet factory is so easy to attack? Hee, the best of the elites is yet to come. Even if that chicken, Ji Worry, wants to attack the puppet factory, he won't be able to walk away unscathed. How about, let's make a bet?" "Bet on what?" The shadow on the left became vigilant. "Nothing good would come out of this kid's bet. If you lose, then let me punch you." "Punch where?" "Face." "You dare to hit my face? Then where do you want me to hit?" "Chest." I didn't expect you to have chest muscles even though you're so skinny. You're asking for it. I haven't used the golden sledgehammer to impress you in a long time. Are you itching for a beating? Don't run. Chapter 1097. 10 minutes later. Ji Worry had led the hot-blooded and arrogant students to attack the puppet manufacturing factory, but now they were in a tragedy. It was like poking a hornet's nest. Once the puppet manufacturing factory was attacked, countless puppet beasts immediately rushed out. If the previous puppet beasts were like a flood, then the current one was like the Milky Way pouring down. In an instant, all the genius students, including Ji Worry, were drowned. The most terrifying thing was that 90% of the puppet beasts that were fighting the students were bronze level. Now, there were almost no traces of low-level bronze-level puppet beasts coming out of the puppet manufacturing factory. More than 80,000 were silver-level puppet beasts, and close to 20% were gold-level puppet beasts. God knows why there were so many gold-level puppet beasts stored in the puppet manufacturing factory. There were tens of thousands of silver-level puppet beasts and thousands of gold-level puppet beasts. They were surrounded from all sides. They formed a destructive force. Not to mention the ordinary students, even Zhong Hua, who was controlling the sword dancer, and Ji Worry, who was controlling the Prince of Vengeance, felt the pressure as heavy as a mountain. Retreat. Ji Worry's Prince of Vengeance was surrounded and attacked by hundreds of gold-level puppet beasts at the same time. He could no longer be as carefree as before. If this was not the human valley, there would be no restriction of laws, and there would be no prohibition of force. If Ji Worry personally attacked, he would be able to kill 10,000 gold-level puppet beasts without any effort. Unfortunately, this was the human valley. Although he had the power of a quasi-god, Ji Worry had no chance to use it. "Everyone, follow me." Zhong Hua was happy and worried at the same time. He was happy that Ji Worry was destined to be unable to act tough today, but he was worried that with so many gold-level puppet beasts surrounding him, he would be trapped if he was not careful. It was definitely not life-threatening, but the sword dancer and the 2 jet beasts were precious war puppets. Once they were all destroyed, it would take more resources and time to rebuild them. This was very different from the plan. The two jet beasts accumulated enough energy and shot out two powerful beams of light. After creating a passageway for the students to escape from the encirclement, Kinch, Wolf of the Tower, Mig, and the others' despair turned into joy. They rushed out immediately. Different from the two of them, Prince Yangchuan was controlling the fire-breathing beast to protect his friends. Even though he was also in a dangerous situation, he did not forget the spirit of a senior. Many of the students around him were extremely touched. The passageway quickly closed, and the students who had escaped halfway were instantly killed by the golden puppet beasts without being able to retaliate. At this moment, a sword light slashed down with the power to destroy heaven and earth. Compared to the twin resounding cannons of the jet beasts, it was 100 times more powerful. Surrounded by golden puppet beasts, it also exploded instantly. Shatter. They scattered all over the ground, leaving behind a pile of remains. It was Jiwori. This sword was the light of vengeance that he had been accumulating for a long time. Even the golden puppet beasts could not withstand this powerful attack. The 10 golden knights under Jiwori took the opportunity to go forward and block the enemies from the outside, forming a golden defense wall to escort as many students as possible back to the puppet academy. Rumble, rumble, rumble! Suddenly, a deafening noise broke out in the puppet factory. 4 puppet beasts of war, each with a height of 100 meters but all at the platinum level, appeared. They leaped into the air, and fell to the ground with the force of a mountain, directly crushing the students who were escaping on the ground. A golden knight beast of war could not escape in time, and was also crushed by a platinum puppet beast of war. Inside the machine, the follower of Jiwori was seriously injured and vomited blood. Before his companions could rescue him, the platinum-level puppet of war suddenly clenched its big hand. Everything within 10 meters of that follower seemed to have been twisted by an invisible demonic claw and instantly exploded into powder, turning into nothingness. Whether it was a person or a puppet of war, all of them turned into ashes in an instant. The 2 golden knight companions who came to rescue saw such a terrifying scene and were scared out of their wit. They no longer cared about covering themselves and immediately retreated. Bang bang! The 2 of them were like fleas. They were smashed to the ground by another platinum puppet beast of war. This was not the most terrifying thing. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the 2 broken golden knight beast of war melted at a speed visible to the naked eye, as if they were corroded by a strong acid. The 2 followers inside the puppet beast of war, who could not escape in time, were also the same. Zhonghua's expression changed. These 4 platinum puppet beasts were too powerful. It was impossible for him to fight against them. He did not know the abilities of the other 2. However, he could at least be sure of one thing. Of the 2 platinum puppet beasts that had shown their abilities, one had the ability of particle shock, and the other had the ability of acid corrosion. These 2 abilities were not something that a puppet beast of war made of steel could resist. Putting aside the fact that the opponent had a body that was 100 meters tall and had a higher level and combat power that had reached the platinum level, just the endless number of them and the inexhaustible production ability was enough to kill all opponents. Let's go! Zhonghua dodged the attack of a platinum puppet beast of war and used the sword dancer to pull Prince Yangchuan's Spitfire, forcefully pulling the young man away. In order to rescue Prince Yangchuan, Zhonghua sacrificed a jet beast. The other jet beast was also on the verge of collapse under the siege of more than 10 golden puppet beasts. It was almost destroyed. Fortunately, Prince Yangchuan cooperated well and threw out a steel cable that was originally used to lock the enemy, forcefully pulling it back. The jet beast that was forcefully pulled back had already lost 2 of its limbs. If it was any later, it would definitely become a piece of scrap metal. The only person who was calm on the battlefield was Jiwori. He controlled the Prince of Vengeance and created thousands of sword gusts. The magical sword gusts appeared under the feet of the students like tornadoes, sweeping the students who had already closed their eyes and were waiting for death out of the battlefield and back to the Puppet Academy in the distance. This move made everyone cheer for Ji-Wuri, regardless of whether it was the students who had been rescued, the new students who had stayed in the Puppet Academy and did not dare to fight, or the elite students who had escaped earlier. Even Prince Yangchuan, who had been rescued by Zhonghua with great effort, could not help but shout at Ji-Wuri in excitement. Seeing this scene, Zhonghua felt bitter in his heart. It was really a strenuous and thankless effort. The limelight was snatched away by Ji-Wuri again. Could it be that he would never be able to catch up with him in this lifetime? This godlike Ji-Wuri really made people feel hopeless. However, the depressed Zhonghua quickly regained his confidence. Because in the human valley, Zhonghua felt that the biggest change in his life was that he had met that young man. If that young man from the eastern hidden tribe made a move and started a war with Ji-Wuri, then it was not impossible to turn the tables in the future. There was someone behind Ji-Wuri. However, behind that young man there was a whole big clan. That young man would never fail. The only problem was how to make him fight with Ji-Wuri. Zhonghua knew that he could not compete with Ji-Wuri for the time being, and the situation was very bad, so he did not show up. He kept a low profile and put away the jet beast. He only used the sword dancer to clean up the endless bronze puppet beasts under the stairs of the Puppet Academy. Ji-Wuri is in the limelight today, aren't you going to attack him? After his anger subsided, Mingzhu Prince, who was sitting on the roof of the puppet factory with Yu Yang and eating corn, looked at Yu Yang strangely. No matter how he looked at it, this brat did not look like he would just stand by and watch. Mingzhu Prince believed that unless the sun rose from the west, this brat would not let Ji-Wuri go so smoothly. Let's continue to watch the show. Yu Yang was very calm. As long as Mingzhu Prince did not pursue the matter of the chest muscles, it would be fine. Ji-Wuri? No matter what he did, the one who would be picked up in the middle would be him. Ji-Wuri could have easily retreated to the Puppet Academy. For some reason, the golden puppet beasts and the platinum puppet dolls were not willing to go near the academy. Even the silver puppet beasts only attacked a few times. If Ji-Wuri was willing to retreat, even the 400-meter-tall platinum puppet dolls would not be able to stop him. However, it was unknown whether it was because of everyone's cheers or because he was unwilling to give up, but before Ji-Wuri returned, he turned his light sword around and fiercely slashed at the puppet factory behind him. Boom! After the earth-shattering tremor, what came into view was a puppet factory that had been split into two halves. Although the puppet factory was buried deep underground and less than 1/10 of the surface was exposed, there were still buildings that protruded out of the ground that were hundreds of meters tall. One slash and it was cut into two halves. This power had completely conquered the hearts of the students who were watching from afar. Elite students like Wolf of the Tower, Mig, and Prince Yangquan had already worshipped Ji-Wuri to the extreme. The Prince of Vengeance. The Prince of Vengeance. Although they had suffered a great defeat and countless casualties, the students were still cheering and crying as if they had won a great battle. They cheered and cheered for Ji-Wuri, who had split the puppet factory in two. Except for one person, Temple Master Guang Zhonghua. Only he snorted sourly to express his disdain. At this moment, Ji-Wuri had won everyone's hearts. However, this slash had also put him in an extremely disadvantageous position. The 4 platinum puppet dolls had already surrounded him, who was riding the Prince of Revenge like an iron cage. On the outer layer, there were thousands of golden puppet beasts, and on the outermost layer, there was an ocean of silver puppet beasts and bronze puppet beasts. Deep in the sea of puppet beasts, Ji-Wuri could not escape even if he had wings. Not to mention that Zhonghua did not want to save him. Even if he wanted to save him, it was impossible for him to complete the task of killing his way out of the sea of puppet beasts. 2 golden knights rushed out of the temple and were instantly drowned in the sea of puppet beasts. However, at the moment when they were drowned, the remaining 5 companions all rode on the golden knights and stepped on their raised arms to jump over. Further ahead, another golden knight sacrificed himself as a stepping stone to help his 4 companions move forward. He intended to use his last bit of strength to save Ji-Wuri, who was surrounded. "No, don't come over." Ji-Wuri's expression changed for the first time. This was definitely not what he wanted to see. He understood the loyalty of his subordinates and also wanted to receive it. However, he still needed people in the future. He did not want all of his followers to be used up in this sea of puppet beasts. After all, there were not many who were truly loyal to him. With his ability, even if the Prince of Revenge was destroyed, he could still escape safely. His life would not be threatened. Now that all the Golden Knights under him had come out, there was no doubt about their loyalty and dedication. However, was it really useful for them to do so? The 4 platinum puppet dolls raised their huge arms, and each of them attacked a Golden Knight. Shock, corrosion, without any possibility of resistance, 2 Golden Knights died tragically in front of Ji-Wuri. In the end, the last 2 Golden Knights who escaped to the Prince of Revenge did not even have the time to stand firm before one of them was frozen by the extreme cold. When that frozen Golden Knight fell to the ground, it actually shattered into a pile of ice. Young Master Yangchuan and the others were scared out of their wits when they saw this. What kind of temperature did the ice have to be so cold that steel became even more brittle than glass? The one who suffered the most was not the one who was frozen into a popsicle along with the steel. It was the last one. There were no changes on the surface of the Golden Knight. However, the internal parts of the puppet dolls, including the driver, were all squeezed out of the Golden Knight's steel mask. Whether it was the steel or the human body, they were all stretched into thin thread. What was even more terrifying was that before being squeezed out of the steel mask, the unlucky guy kept vomiting out his internal organs. All of his internal organs were vomited out in pieces. It was as if there was an invisible giant hand constantly smashing his chest and abdomen. What kind of ability is this? Kinch was so scared that his whole body was trembling. Mig and Prince Yangquan, who were beside him, had never heard of such a strange ability. Vacuum sucker. Zhonghua snorted uncertainly. The extreme cold at the beginning was still understandable, but the vacuum sucker at the end was something that Zhonghua had never seen before. Puppet dolls were not warriors with talents and domain abilities. It was not strange for them to have attack abilities such as wind, fire, water, or earth. After all, they were man-made and could be matched with the relevant battle equipment. The particle shock was still understandable, but the strange ability of vacuum sucker was really unbelievable. What kind of person would be able to create such a war puppet? What was the use of making a puppet dolls like this? If it was only used to guard the puppet manufacturing factory, was there a need to make a puppet dolls like this? Zhonghua could not understand it at all. Not only him, even Ji-Wuri, who witnessed it at close range, could not understand it either. What's going on? Mingzhu Prince nudged Yu Yang with his elbow, asking him to explain. Although they usually quarreled, sometimes Mingzhu Prince felt that Yu Yang was a know-it-all, so he had to ask him about foreign affairs. It's very simple. Particle shock, strong acid corrosion, extreme cold, and vacuum sucker are not the abilities of puppet dolls. These 400-meter-tall puppet dolls only provide defense. It's the people inside that really exert their fighting power. Hearing Yu Yang's words, Mingzhu Prince immediately exclaimed and shook his head to deny it. Impossible. This is the human valley. It's restricted by the ancient rules. No one can use their fighting power, be it talent or domain. There's a possibility that is even more thorough than the fleshly puppets made by the devils. The victims have lost their self-awareness and their souls. The only thing that keeps them alive is the shell of their body. They have become puppets under somebody else's control. Yu Yang's face became serious and he nodded affirmatively. If that's the case, then this walking corpse might have some inherent skills that can be preserved. In other words, it's also a puppet, but it's a living puppet made by humans. Mingzhu Prince shivered when he heard this. Who is so evil to use humans to make puppets? This is what I want to know. Yu Yang looked up at the sky. After a long time, he murmured. What happened in the human valley? Why did it become like this? I believe that the human valley was not like this when it was created in the ancient times. Who destroyed the order and rules here? Mingzhu Prince was stunned. He only reacted after a while. Let's ask the three oracles. They must know the truth. Yu Yang smiled. Of course they know. Otherwise, why would they keep looking for reincarnated people like us who can get the ancient relics? Chapter 1098. In the end, Jiwuri managed to escape back. Even the giant platinum war puppets that possessed the four special abilities of particle oscillation, acid corrosion, extreme freeze, and vacuum sucker could not stop him. However, Jiwuri, who had always been cool and mighty, was also in a sorry state. One of the steel arms of the Prince of Vengeance that he was riding had been corroded beyond recognition. Countless terrible holes had burst out of his armor, and it was full of holes. It was even more tattered than a beggar's clothes. The Prince of Vengeance's left leg was still frozen below the knee. Even if it was thawed, the steel was probably so brittle that it could no longer be used. Fortunately, Jiwuri had dodged the attack of the Platinum War puppet that possessed the ability of vacuum sucker. Otherwise, the Prince of Vengeance would definitely not have been able to escape back to the puppet hall. When the students saw that Jiwuri had also returned in a sorry state, their spirits could no longer hold on. Other than Prince Yangquan, Wolf of the Tower, and a few other elites, who still dared to stay behind to defend against the bronze puppet beast's attacks, the other students had long since retreated through the teleportation portal like a swarm of bees. Fortunately, the time limit of half an hour was up, and the teleportation portal was opened once again. Otherwise, the students who had volunteered to challenge the assessment results would have really been in danger of being completely wiped out. Jiwuri looked at the four Platinum War puppets in the distance and shook his head slightly. He put away the heavily injured and half-crippled Prince of Vengeance and left elegantly. He did not even look at Zhonghua, who was gloating over his misfortune. I went for wool and came home shorn. Of course, Zhonghua now had a reason to be happy. Wasn't Jiwuri's failure to return what he had hoped for all along? Jiwuri had originally wanted to take down the puppet manufacturing factory to further increase his reputation and gain more fanatical followers. According to the plan, even if he could not take down the factory, he could still rescue the students and win the hearts of the people. But now? Not only were the 10 loyal fanatic followers and the Golden Knights that he had painstakingly developed completely annihilated, even the Prince of Vengeance's Platinum War puppet that had always been in the limelight was half-crippled. Although he had helped the students, it could not make up for the loss this time. Most importantly, Jiwuri, who was invincible in the hearts of the people, had finally failed. The legend of the undefeatable genius was shattered. Once he stepped down from the godly stage, no matter how much he displayed his prowess in the future, he would not be able to change the impression in the hearts of the people. With such an unexpected result today, how could Zhonghua not dance upon hearing the song? Although Zhonghua suffered some losses, he only destroyed one jet beast. Compared to Jiwuri, his situation was much better. If it weren't for the fact that he had to maintain his demeanor in front of Wolf of the Tower, Mig, and Prince Yangchuan, Zhonghua would have laughed out loud. Aren't you guys leaving? Prince Yangchuan found that Rentienga, the great sage silver pupil, Haug, and Qing Mo did not evacuate with the other students. He could not help but feel strange. This battle could not be fought anymore. Even Jiwuri had to evacuate. Why were these people still persisting? We're not like you guys. We won't touch the puppet manufacturing factory. We just need to clear some of the bronze puppet beasts. Haug laughed out loud. Greedy and reckless. In contrast, Ching Mo was a little rude and directly mocked them. Then be careful. Prince Yangchuan's face turned red when he heard this. He awkwardly retreated with the Mig and the other elite students who stayed behind. Zhonghua instinctively felt that it was a little strange. However, he, Rentienga, the great sage silver pupil, Haug, and Ching Mo were enemies in the Devil's Valley. It was already good enough that Rentienga and Haug did not besiege him. It was impossible for them to talk to him again. Moreover, Zhonghua, who was in a good mood now, did not care about these trivial matters. Rentienga and the others were not insignificant people. If it wasn't for the fact that there was no one behind them, they would really be a group of strong enemies. Therefore, it was normal for Rentienga and the others to want to farm some points here. Zhonghua, who was eager to leave, did not notice this point. The war puppets that Haug and Ching Mo were using were all silver werewolves, and they were exactly the same. Perhaps he noticed it, but he felt that Haug, Ching Mo, and the others were originally teammates. Moreover, with the strength of the great sage silver pupil, it was not strange for them to develop silver werewolves that were exactly the same. Therefore, he did not think too much about it. When Zhonghua, who was the last to leave, left, Haug could no longer hold it in. He immediately released the Golden Lion war puppet. It swept away all the green puppet beasts that were constantly rushing in from outside the puppet hall. The Golden War puppet is indeed powerful. I almost died of holding it in just now. Seeing those guys acting cool, I had to hide my strength and hide behind them. Ha, my Golden Lion King, now is the time for you to go crazy. Charge, 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 send all these scrap metals to the garbage dump. Haug manipulated the Golden Lion King to transform into a war puppet. He jumped into the driver's seat and was as excited as a child who had just received a new toy. He cleared the puppet beasts around him unstoppably while cheering loudly. So childish. Ching Mo shook his head. He felt that Haug was completely hopeless. Don't go out for now. There are still 4 big guys outside. Rentienga was worried that Haug would not be able to control himself and really rush up to fight the 4 platinum war puppets one-on-one. I'm just excited and my hands are itchy. That's why I'm in a hurry to vent. I'm not stupid. Haug was speechless. Did he really look like a fool? At the top of the puppet-making factory, Mingzhu Prince, who had already finished eating his corn, reached out his hand and touched Yu Yang. He indicated that he could start working. Yu Yang calmly jumped down from the puppet-making factory. His footsteps were as leisurely as if he was accompanying a pretty girl shopping on the street. His left pinky was digging at his ear from time to time. Seeing Yu Yang being so arrogant, Mingzhu Prince couldn't bear to look anymore. He was really worried that this brat would be flattened by the 4 platinum puppets and become a thin human mat. The 4 platinum war puppets jumped down from Yu Yang's position. They immediately noticed him. 2 of them took a detour and were in charge of flanking him. The last one retreated slightly to be on guard and assist him. If he had not seen this kind of tactic with his own eyes, Mingzhu Prince would not dare to believe that the puppets without intelligence could actually work together to fight like this. If one were to say that there was no one controlling these puppets, and that they were just working together naturally, Mingzhu Prince would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Even the walking corpses and living puppets would not be able to do this. The great sage Silver Pupil frowned and shook his head. Is there a problem? Only now did Rentienga realize that if it was not for Ji Wuri's quick escape just now and the 4 platinum war puppets had used this kind of joint tactic, the Prince of Vengeance would most likely be defeated here. If there was someone controlling these puppets, then when they were dealing with Ji Wuri and the others, they were just holding back their strength for some reason. Now they were showing their true strength. Humph, Ching Mo sneered. His attitude was not because he hoped that Yu Yang would fail, but because he felt that it was unnecessary to worry about this brat. Although it will be very difficult, I believe in him. Haug had already become Yu Yang's fanatical fan. He felt that there was nothing in this world that could stop this abnormal genius. Ji Wuri could not defeat him? That was Ji Wuri, not this abnormal little titan who was even more abnormal than a monster. The first one to attack Yu Yang was the Platinum War puppet, that new particle oscillation. Its giant hand was like a metal five-finger mountain that came crashing down. Fortunately, it was not Buddha. Otherwise, even if Yu Yang turned into the monkey sun who could wreak havoc in heaven, he would not be able to escape. Boom, rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of explosions caused shock waves that spread on the ground. Whether it was Ren Tiange's side, the Spirit King's shadow in the puppet hall, or Mingzhu Prince who was anxiously watching the battle from the top of the manufacturing factory, their vision was blocked by the smoke, and they could not see the battle situation clearly. In the last scene, everyone saw the Platinum War puppet that new particle oscillation chase after Yu Yang and kept pressing the oscillation waves, causing the ground to explode continuously. Just as Yu Yang was escaping, the extremely frozen Platinum War puppet that was in charge of defending suddenly erected an ice wall with both of its arms to block the path. Then, a huge shock wave exploded, and the shock wave was earth-shattering. Sand and stones flew everywhere, and dust and smoke swept across the ground. Everyone's vision was blocked, and they could no longer see what happened to Yu Yang. In terms of individual strength, there was no need to worry about Yu Yang, who could fight against the sky-splitting demon Venerable for 100 days. However, this was the human valley. No matter how strong an individual was, it was useless. In a battle, one had to use Puppet War puppet. Mingzhu Prince clenched his fists tightly, and looked at the battlefield anxiously, hoping that Yu Yang, this rascal, would quickly appear and not make people worry. The smoke seemed to want to compete with people. Only after a long time did it disperse. However, when the situation in the battlefield appeared, everyone was dumbfounded. It was not that Yu Yang was blasted into pieces by the platinum puppet's particle oscillation, nor was he frozen into a human-shaped popsicle. Everyone stared dumbstruck at this inconceivable scene. Student Yu Liao, who was originally chased and beaten by the platinum puppet until he could not breathe, was now leisurely sitting on the platinum puppet's shoulder, crossing his legs. His appearance was as infuriating as it could get. If not for the distance, Mingzhu Prince, who was gnashing his teeth in hatred, would have used a hammer to reinforce his memory. Pooh! Haug was nervously drinking water, and spat it all out, splattering all over Ren Tiange's body. How is this possible? Ren Tiange did not feel anything, and stared blankly at Yu Yang, who was sitting on the platinum puppet's shoulder. Who knows what's going on? The Spirit King and Skinner King Sanguiner were also dumbfounded, completely unable to understand what was going on. Even if Yu Yang was born with a friendly aura, and was loved by everyone, it was impossible for him to be like this. That was the emotionless platinum puppet that would kill anyone it saw. Why would it allow this brat to sit on its shoulder? Furthermore, they were chasing after him just now. How did they suddenly become friends? If they did not see the scene just now, just by looking at the current situation, they could totally think that the platinum puppet was this brat's big toy. Forget it, with him, anything can happen. Even the great sage Silver Pupil could not help but shake his head and laugh bitterly. Hurry up and come down. Mingzhu Prince reacted and immediately became angry. I've been worried about you for so long, and you actually went to such a high place to enjoy the wind? Even if you want to learn to be cool, you don't have to do this, right? Without waiting for Yu Yang to come down, the extreme frozen platinum puppet that assisted in attacking immediately launched an attack. Emitting a cold aura with its hands, it immediately patted its companion's shoulder. What was even more strange was that when it attacked Yu Yang, the platinum puppet that had the particle vibration ability immediately retaliated, as if it had seen its master being attacked. It used its giant arms to block its companion's hands, and as it froze them, The vibration wave exploded, sending its companion flying 100 meters away. What? Rentienga and the other's jaws dropped to the ground. What the hell was going on? Could it be that this brat had already taken that platinum puppet as his little brother? Seeing that Yu Yang was still safe and sound, the two platinum puppets that were in charge of flanking him also attacked. One of them had a strong corrosive acid, and the other had a vacuum suction cup, aiming at Yu Yang's small body. However, halfway through their attack, they suddenly stopped at the same time. As if they had received an irresistible order, the 4 balls of light in the eyes of the 2 platinum puppets that were emitting red light dimmed. After a while, the light that lit up again became white. Mingzhu Prince's sharp senses discovered that other than the platinum puppet that had the extreme frozen ability, the other 3 platinum puppets' eyes had all changed from red to white, and the light they emitted was even brighter. There was definitely a problem. Yu Yang must have done something to them. However, no one could figure out what exactly he had done. Come back quickly, I have something to tell you. Mingzhu Prince suddenly smiled and waved towards Yu Yang. What do you want to say? Yu Yang was very excited. Could it be that at this important moment, Mingzhu Prince was going to tell him an extremely important secret? If you don't want me to strangle you to death, then tell me the truth immediately. My patience is not very good. Mingzhu Prince's expression changed faster than flipping a page. He angrily grabbed Yu Yang's collar and lifted him up. Then, he glared at Yu Yang, who could only stand on his toes and lean backwards. Be gentler, my body is weak. I can't take too much violence. Yu Yang hurriedly raised his hands in surrender. You still dare to talk nonsense. Mingzhu Prince didn't use his whip and directly used his golden hammer. Wait, I'll be honest. It's parasitic puppets. When we were fighting on the beach, I discovered parasitic crabs and thought of parasitic wasps. Hence, I created parasitic spiders. Just now, I only used them a little. To be honest, if we didn't fight on the beach that night, I wouldn't have thought of this idea. Yu Yang took out the small and exquisite golden spider puppet. Before he could even claim credit, Mingzhu Prince hammered his head with his hammer. The crazy Mingzhu Prince raged. You shut up, who fought with you on the beach? No one? I remember that the moon was very big on the night we fought. Yu Yang pretended to think, which made Mingzhu Prince even angrier. Chapter 1099. Boom. Boom 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 boom. A series of explosions, deafening, the shock waves created mushroom clouds that shot up to the sky. The towering puppet manufacturing factory finally collapsed under the frenzied dismantling of the 4 platinum puppets controlled by Yu Yang. The parts on the ground and the exit were completely destroyed, turning into a pile of scrap metal. Thick smoke billowed from the ruins. Flames and debris from the explosions flew all over the sky. In addition to the corpses of the puppet beasts lying all over the ground, the current battlefield of Lu Wailu looked like a scene of desolation and destruction. This is too awesome. Hogi had never worshipped a person so much in his entire life. Even Ji Wu Ri had no choice but to return in low spirits from Lu Wailu. But now Tai Tan, this brat, had taken it down by himself. How could all the so-called geniuses of the world's elite students endure this? Continue forward. Mingzhu Prince was also indescribably excited. Controlling the platinum puppet, destroying the puppet manufacturing factory was a completely different matter. Although it was difficult to use the gold parasitic spider to control the 4 platinum puppets, it was not impossible for others to do it. If Ji Wuri and Zhong Hua had the same conditions, they could also do it. However, other than Yu Yang, even if others controlled the 4 platinum puppets, they would not be able to destroy the puppet manufacturing factory. The reason was simple. The puppet manufacturing factory had an endless stream of puppet beasts coming out, drowning the enemies, protecting the factory from external attacks. What was even more despairing was that this puppet manufacturing factory seemed to be protected by some kind of mysterious power. Even if it was attacked by a huge force and its appearance was deformed, it would quickly recover to its original state. Ji Wuri had used all his strength to slash the exposed part of the factory in half. However, before he could retreat from the battlefield of Lu Wailu, the crack had already closed. It was restored to its original state. However, this puppet manufacturing factory, which looked to be 100 times stronger than an iron wall, was destroyed in Yu Yang's hands without much effort. He only released a thin and long black shadow. Its speed was so fast that even Mingzhu Prince, who was not far away, could not see what kind of existence it was. Not long after the slender shadow slipped in, the entire puppet manufacturing factory immediately let out an earth-shattering hum. The ground trembled incessantly, as if it was the wail of the end of the world. A series of explosions occurred within the puppet manufacturing factory. Following this, the 4 platinum puppets could easily destroy the exposed parts of the factory. Just like that, the puppet manufacturing factory that had forced Ji Wuri to retreat in hatred collapsed in front of Yu Yang in less than 5 minutes. What is that? Mingzhu Prince rushed over and grabbed Yu Yang's hand forcefully. This was because Mingzhu Prince realized that when the slender black shadow slipped back, it seemed to have wrapped itself around Yu Yang's wrist. Unfortunately, when Mingzhu Prince grabbed Yu Yang's hand and looked left and right, the slender black shadow had already disappeared. It's a secret. Why don't we trade 1 for 1? Yu Yang grabbed Mingzhu Prince's hand and suggested. Who cares? Mingzhu Prince slapped away Yu Yang's wolf-like claws. 1 for 2. Yu Yang still did not give up. No! Mingzhu Prince raised his chin and rejected the conditions of this trap. He easily saw through a certain wolf's intentions. Fighting with such a monster, there's only one word to describe it. It's easy. Haug, whose number teacher died early, was so excited that he could not choose his words. Rumble very quickly, another puppet manufacturing factory collapsed and collapsed. This time, Mingzhu Prince was greatly surprised. The one that Yu Yang sent to disturb the inside of the puppet manufacturing factory was no longer the slender black shadow, but a strange blade. This strange blade, shot from the puppet manufacturing factory, transformed along the way, and turned into a ferocious and extremely ugly prehistoric monster. It opened its black hole-like mouth and greedily swallowed everything in its path. When it pounced into the puppet manufacturing factory, it actually swallowed the countless puppet beasts that were surging out of the factory alive. Tao Tai, Earth Divine Weapon. The great sage Silver Pupil easily recognized this kind of beast. Can Earth Divine weapons be used in Human Valley? The surrounding shadows and Sanguiner and the others looked at each other. They still did not know that Earth Divine weapons could be used in Human Valley. No way, you guys have Earth Divine weapons? Haug felt that although Earth Divine weapons were not as rare as holy beasts and divine beasts, they were definitely not the kind of cheap goods that could be sold on the street. Not to mention the lower realm, even in the heaven realm, how many people had Earth Divine weapons? No. The shadows and Sanguiner all shook their heads. They had semi-divine weapons that were similar to Earth Divine weapons, but they did not have real Earth Divine weapons. An Earth Divine weapon was not as simple as a divine weapon, but a real metal life. A new kind of special metal life, created by the master with supreme power or passed down by the ancient gods, was called an Earth Divine weapon. Not all divine weapons with spiritual awareness were called Earth Divine weapons. Earth Divine weapons not only had 2 forms of divine weapons and war beasts, but they also had real life and could be regarded as a living creature. In the heaven realm, there were many people who had fake Earth Divine weapons or semi-divine weapons. The divine weapons in their hands also had good spiritual awareness, and even knew how to transform or fight as a war beast alone. However, they were not real Earth Divine weapons, because they did not have real life. They were metal. But not metal life. This was the biggest difference between a fake Earth Divine weapon and an Earth Divine weapon, and it was also the gap between them that could never be crossed. During the 100 Days' War, everyone thought that they had seen all of Yu Yang's treasures, abilities and battle power. However, they didn't expect that today. They realized that this brat still had a lot of things that he hadn't taken out. When Yu Yang commanded the Star Scorpion and the Heaven-Swallowing Beast to advance towards the other two puppet manufacturing factories and destroy their internal structures, everyone was sweating profusely. Even the calmest great sage Silver Pupil could not help but ask, "Little Titan, how many Earth Divine weapons do you have on you?" What he meant was that others who had one Earth Divine weapon were already extremely lucky, but Yu Yang had at least 4 Earth Divine weapons on him. How could he live like this? He hadn't seen the slender black shadow clearly, but he reckoned that it was an Earth Divine weapon that was the strongest and least willing to show to others. Great Sage Silver-Eyed even suspected that the slender black shadow that even he couldn't see through was the legendary Heaven Divine weapon. The 3 that were clearly displayed, Tao Tai, the Heaven-Swallowing Beast, and the Star Scorpion, could make people drool with envy. It was enough to have one Earth Divine weapon. However, if you monopolized so many by yourself, did you want to be punished by heaven? The most unbearable thing was that these Earth Divine weapons that Yu Yang had all had super high intelligence. This made people so jealous that they wanted to commit suicide by banging their heads against the wall. Isn't it just an Earth Divine weapon, what's there to fuss about? With a cold snort, Ching Mo raised his hand and took off his black gloves, revealing a blood-red magic eye ring. The magic eye ring quickly transformed into a strange frog-shaped Earth Divine weapon. Haug was so envious that he was drooling. He was so envious that he almost jumped off the cliff and shouted at the Azure Demon, "Azure Demon, if you can get me an Earth God weapon, you'll be my boss in the future." "Get lost!" Malachian Fiend kicked Haug, who was delusional, away. "Your Earth Divine weapon seems to have suffered a special injury that is extremely difficult to heal on its own?" Yu Yang looked at it with his Heaven Eyes Divine Vision and found that the strength of this little frog's Earth Divine weapon was greatly damaged, as if it had suffered some kind of fatal injury. Ching Mo used some kind of secret and his own vitality to save it. No wonder Ching Mo never used this little frog as a support in the human valley, no matter how difficult it was. "You have a way to heal it?" Mingzhu Prince felt that this was the best time to improve the relationship between Yu Yang and Ching Mo, so he quickly created an opportunity. "Please call me the omnipotent miraculous hands cure disease, handsome and confident jade-faced little doctor. There's nothing in this world that I can't handle," Yu Yang boasted to the heavens. "Humph!" Ching Mo did not ask Yu Yang to help, but instead turned the little frog back into the magic eye ring and put it back on his glove. "Coffin Face, now is not the time to act cool. Open your golden mouth. Moving your mouth won't kill you." Haug was anxious for Ching Mo. They were all on the same side. Was there a need to act so cool and make their relationship so stiff? Furthermore, how generous was Little Titan. Seeing that everyone was living a hard life, and that it was not easy to save up money to buy a puppet beast, he gave them a golden puppet battle doll, and 2 at once. You, on the other hand, always covering your face and pretending to be cool, was this the attitude you should have towards your friends? "Let's flatten the puppet manufacturing factory first. No rush, no rush." Rentienga, the former boss, quickly tried to smooth things over. If Ching Mo asked Yu Yang to heal his Earth Divine weapon in front of everyone, it would probably be harder than killing him. This was not very possible. They could only think of a way in private. Furthermore, Ching Mo was probably not willing to accept too many favors from Yu Yang. If there was a chance to do something for Yu Yang, he believed that he would accept the healing. He believed that he would accept the treatment. After all, everyone's earthly divine weapon was a precious treasure. It was impossible for anyone to watch it get injured. with the Earth Divine weapon destroying the core structure of the puppet manufacturing factory from the inside, the 4 platinum puppets that were comparable to the Celestial Empire's demolition office, and with the help of Rintienga, the great sage silver pupil, Ching Mo, Haug and the virtual shadow, Sanguiner, Golden Remains and other super experts, the remaining 3 puppet manufacturing factories around the Puppet Academy were quickly flattened. Just as Haug was in high spirits and announced that he would flatten all the puppet manufacturing factories in one go. Patting his chest, he expressed his willingness to be the vanguard and immediately marched towards the puppet manufacturing factories in the north, south, east and west peak. However, Yu Yang's expression changed and interrupted him. If everyone doesn't want to die, retreat immediately. If you don't leave now, not even your dregs will be left. What? Haug imitated Yu Yang's style of speaking and expressed his puzzlement. The current situation was equivalent to entering the bridal chamber. The red veil had been removed, the wine cup had been drunk, and the clothes had been taken off. There was only one last step left. At such an important juncture, they actually wanted to retreat? Yu Yang didn't have time to explain, and hurriedly pulled Mingzhu Prince and ran. The great sage Silver Pupil's expression also suddenly changed, and he said in shock, "Run quickly, a god-level will is descending, and its target is us. If it is locked on, we will be doomed eternally." Haug was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Damn it! Whether it was in the Human Valley or anywhere else, what was the most feared thing for an expert at Haug's level? It was only one word, God. At the level of Haug and the others, they looked high and mighty on the surface. Even in the heaven realm, they were also a tyrant and an overlord of a region. However, they, who were worshipped by thousands of people below, all knew one thing. Compared to the real God level, they were still far from it. Those who reached the God level could be said to have truly stepped into the ranks of the invincible rankers. Just as Yu Yang and the others were rushing towards the teleportation gate in the Puppet Academy. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in the sky. It was even bigger than a mountain. It shrouded the sky and covered the earth. Immediately after, everyone heard a terrifying sound. It was a sound that was 1,000 times, 10,000 times more shocking than the sound of a falling meteorite rubbing against the air. While Haug was flying, he looked up and was so scared that he almost peed his pants. What he saw was an unimaginably large hand pressing down on him. That hand was just a finger. It was as big as a mountain. What Haug could see was only the tip of the finger of that hand, the mountain-like finger, poking down. If he was pressed by this huge hand, Haug reckoned that he would not even have any residue left. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.